night hours. Through the afternoon, we'll have cloudy skies and another chance of stronger storms through the afternoon hours, and then late evening and overnight storms clearing out again. I'm meteorologist Luke Vickery, KETV Newswatch 7.
1620, The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time-Saving Traffic Center. Right now, the area of I-80 westbound between 84th Street exit 448 and I-680 exit 446 is closed, and traffic is backed up to about 72nd right now due to an accident and a disabled vehicle on the right shoulder of I-29 southbound just after Highway 275 exit 47. And just as a heads up, some heavy rain moved through last night. There might be some areas of standing water throughout the metro on the roads. Just proceed cautiously, stay safe, and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
We're excited to announce the grand opening of Saul's Jewelry and Loan's new downtown location. It's a Saul's shopping experience like you've never seen. Amazing jewelry finds at our famous best-in-town prices. Tools, bikes, guitars. 22nd and Hardy, downtown Omaha, Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
For generations, hardworking people have relied on Ford F-Series trucks to help grow businesses, communities, families. A legacy of capability and technology that has made Ford F-Series America's best-selling trucks 47 years straight. This is the next generation of built Ford tough. Based on 1977 to 2023 calendar year total sales.
I'm Bridget Condon with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. All eyes will be focused on Bills pass rusher Von Miller when Buffalo's veterans report to camp on July 23rd. Miller, who did not record a sack in 12 games last season after working his way back from a torn ACL injury he suffered in 2022, tells Sports Illustrated he, quote, probably shouldn't have been on the field in 2023. Miller took a pay cut this offseason and vowed to bounce back in 2024, adding he feels like people are judging him on his performance last season and making him, quote, angry. Meantime, the Bears are granting defensive back Jonathan Owens some time off during training camp after his wife, Simone Biles, qualified for the Paris Games with a victory at the U.S. Olympic trials Sunday. The four-time Olympic gold medalist telling USA Today, quote, anytime we can show up for one another and support, we just get super excited because our schedules don't align that much. The Bears veterans report to training camp July 19th. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Sponsored by Age of...
Howdy, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Going fishing? I thought so. For proper catch and release fishing this season to ensure fish survival, I want you to remember these important things. Land the fish as quickly as possible. Handle the fish as little as possible. Keep the fish in the water as much as possible. And release the fish as fast as possible. Enjoy your fishing experience. I'm Greg Wagner.
Success in today's electrical market requires your company to be able to adjust to an ever-changing field. A partnership with IBEW Local 22 gives you that flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, proven training programs, marketing assistance, entry into markets not available before, ability to expand and contract with changing market conditions, and a benefits package for you and your employees. Contact Bob at IBEW Local 22 for additional details at 402-980-7596.
Worried about damage from the recent storms? J-Tech Construction is a local company you can count on to make your home right again. We are the official exterior experts of the Huskers. J-Tech Construction's team of experts can help you with your insurance restoration process. Turn to who the Huskers turn to and call 402-261-3600 3682 today for your free assessment. Whether it's hail, wind, or just time for an update, J-Tech Construction's team is the trained local solution you can count on. Call 402-261-3682 today.
They've only given me 30 seconds to talk about all the great things at Funplex, so here goes. Looking for an unforgettable all-in-one day of summer fun? Funplex has you covered. Nebraska's largest water park and rides is even better with the heart-pumping brand new spinning and tilting wipeout ride and special events for the whole family. We're your one-stop destination for non-stop excitement. Plus, there's private cabanas and plenty of spaces to unwind. Hey, you can even make a day of it. From thrilling rides and slides to relaxing sun and fun, there's something for everyone. There's just too much fun to talk about. Get your tickets now at fun-plex.com.
Twisted Thunder Fireworks is going to save you big money. You'll find the best variety and the lowest prices in the entire state of Nebraska. Don't believe us? See page after page of products and pricing online at twistedthunder.com, where you can watch everything before you buy and choose local pickup so it's ready to go for you at the tent. Go to twistedthunder.com to check out all of our locations in Nebraska as well as our location in Council Bluffs. That's twistedthunder.com.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your radio home for Omaha Storm Chasers baseball, proud AAA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Tune in to hear every pitch, every hit, and every out as the Chasers play at Warner Park and across the International League in 2024. With the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Nick Batters, on News Talk 1290 Coil.
The Storm Chasers host the I-Cubs tonight at Warner Park. First pitch is 7:05. You can hear all the action on your home for the Storm Chasers, 1290 Coil.
1620 The Zone.
Pitch on the way. And Pena rockets one deep to left field. It sends back Varsho looking up. See you later! Over the Blue Jays bullpen for Jeremy Pena. And the Astros lead 1-0 on Pena's 6th of the year. The 1-0, and Alvarez hits it in the air pretty deep to left center. Going back on it, Varsho at the wall. He leaves. See you later! Yordan Alvarez goes deep, and the Astros go up 2-0.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
You're cooking with gas.
Hey over there. I know the Astros are playing well. It seems to be a lot of Astro highlights that are showing up in the opening montage.
Can't help it if they're hitting things and over walls.
Last night was a light night in Major League Baseball.
3 games.
No Cleveland game. I know that upset all of you guys.
Why so few games last night? Mets Nationals was a crazy game that Mets scored 6 in the 10th to win, but I was I was trying to find something that was not red, white, and blue.
Yeah, there's 3 games last night.
Yeah. Why on July 1? Remember, there was back in the day where we used to play doubleheaders on July 4th.
Yes.
We used to play 2 All-Star games.
Yes.
We used to be a country that believed in the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we embraced it and we moved forward.
Great movie.
But why weren't we playing more baseball on July 1?
Because we're gearing up for July 4th, apparently. Yeah. Maybe there's going to be doubleheaders on July 4th.
Why
so if you're having a doubleheader on July 4th and you get Monday off and you settle in for your 4th of July series. Well, that was for a Monday, that was a very odd light schedule.
We used to have 4 games on TV on July 4th. I hope we have 1.
Well, we used to also have where Sunday Night Baseball mattered, and we used to have the show on ESPN where they would do a thing called Baseball Tonight, and they would spend about 30 minutes showing highlights
of baseball games.
Those were back in the day.
Not high heat.
Yeah. Now that we have just gone all olds on you to begin the show, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Peter Gammons.
We are live, and Peter is a tweeting machine.
Yeah, he is.
So Peter
tweets everything.
Peter only tweets, though, like early in the morning. You know, like he's an old that, gets up about 4:30.
Yep.
And so he immediately starts tweeting.
He's usually in bed by 7.
Ooh, that'd be tough.
Even for me.
That'd be tough.
Except in December.
I don't think I go to bed at 7.
Well, you're not Peter Gammons. Peter's a little older than you.
Yeah. Homeboy last night went to bed and I actually slept through the storm.
I did too.
I woke up. We've gone backwards here.
I knew it was lightning and everything right before we went to bed. And then I woke up and I saw a couple like flood warnings and
there's a tornado warning in Lincoln.
Really?
Yeah. So
didn't know that.
Tornado of crime.
So welcome in, everybody. We've made it in safely. It did rain. Like I have a friend and he owns a piece of property that is, I guess you would not say in the rural part of or the urban part of Gretna.
Yeah.
If you know where the urban mean streets of Gretna
Oh,
are.
yeah.
He's a little bit outside of the city.
Yep.
He said he got like 4.5 inches of rain.
Whoa.
So went to sleep last night and I slept right through it. Now I heard it raining hard. It rained extremely hard at my place, but I slept right through it. Got up this morning. I saw they had a tornado warning in Lincoln. And whenever it rains like that, like it did last night overnight, and I guess we're going to get more of it today, I immediately think of, whoa, those poor people on Saddle Creek.
Yep.
What are those people doing on Saddle Creek?
Or if you have to make your way through Saddle Creek at some point for your commute. Hopefully, maybe you have the day or the week off and you don't have to worry about it. But yes, that's the first area that anytime that something shut down. Is that essentially the lowest part of Omaha? Is it like the lowest set part of Omaha? That's why it's just always just gets nailed.
I think so. It's kind of like at 48th off of Cornhusker.
Yeah.
Where they've got that dip where that has to flood a lot. I saw some video this morning of in Lincoln, 12th and O was flooded.
Oh.
There were some nights where I thought it was flooded and it wasn't even raining outside. But welcome in, everybody. It is a Tuesday. It is the 2nd of July. It is the last month without football, college football, that is. Because I think, well, we got training camps that open in the NFL. I don't think the Hall of Fame game is until August 1.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yep.
Okay.
17 days to the video game.
That is also true.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for it when people get triggered by rankings off a video game.
I'm just happy we have a game. It's all about perspective.
Yeah. Can you guys remember another time where Bolivia let you down?
No.
Bolivia or Olivia?
No, not Olivia.
Nope. And boy, the dual watching of if you guys know this by now, I'm not a huge soccer fan.
I'm less.
Why do you know? Look, let me ask you this, because I'm going to tell you what kind of a soccer fan I am.
Okay.
But why does everybody preface that? Oh, that's not a soccer fan.
Just because
why can't you be a fan of the United States?
Oh, I am.
Why can't you be a fan of the red, white, and blue?
I am.
Why can't you be a fan for something that stands strong, that represents us all, except for USA Soccer? Because I think my life is somewhat organized, and it seems to be that USA Soccer is micromanaged and just an absolute mess right now. But continue on. Sorry. I got lots to say about last night.
I always like to say that first and foremost, because I feel like anytime I'm amongst people who are soccer fans, they want to go soccer nerd on me. And I have
I don't think so.
Like, hold on, I saw Ladybugs.
I don't think so.
No, there are people that that are still in my life.
Divorce her.
No, she probably thinks even less of soccer than I do. But it's something that there are times that I have to even be told that there's, unless it's the World Cup or the Olympics, there usually I have to be told there's something like the Copa.
That's fair.
And
Yeah,
I'm
so
like, that happened. Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's the kind of soccer fan I am.
Okay.
I don't have time for the Premier League. I don't have time for the MLS.
Yeah.
I'm not a soccer hater.
I don't hate it.
I understand soccer. I've been around many people that's kind of their life. I used to broadcast soccer. It was kind of fun. I was at Nebraska when Nebraska's women's soccer was like awesome, and they would fight teams. It was great.
See, I would have gone.
I called a soccer fight in the NCAA tournament against Notre Dame. It was either Notre Dame or Texas A&M.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went into all Lincoln Stars, Gary, and just started calling a fight. It was great. It was absolutely great. But I just don't have I don't have enough time in the day to devote to being a all-in diehard soccer aficionado.
Yeah,
like the Premier League, the MLS, or like if I'm going out to Warner Park to see Union Omaha, I'm going probably to be with the fans and just create noise.
Yeah.
Or do a social setting. And other than Dominic, who is the manager, and him and his wife and I are friends, I don't know much about Union Omaha. I couldn't tell you like any of the players, or I know they're really, really good. But in my soccer world of watching sports, when the red, white, and blue is going on, I am all in on soccer. So anytime like the Copa, or of course the World Cup or the Olympics, men or women, I am into soccer and I will watch. And I always hate when, and I'm going to be very selfish here for a moment.
Okay.
When there is an event going on that is a standalone, like last night was down in Kansas City against Uruguay.
Didn't realize they played down there.
And I Well, there were 21,000 empty seats on a beautiful night. That was kind of a little surprising. That's part of the thing we'll talk about. So you devote time to watching, and this even with my favorite teams. Like I've done this with the Cubs recently. Seems a lot. Where it's a standalone game and you like carve out some time and you sit down and you're going to watch and they let you down. And last night was one of those moments. But here's what I will approach this with, because there is anger. I mean, wouldn't you guys love to do a USA Soccer overreaction last night?
Oh, yeah.
Because it essentially would have been Big Red overreaction.
Yeah.
With fire the
head
in this
coach.
case the manager.
Manager.
Fire,
Yes.
The thing is corrupt.
Yeah.
John Safi is reffing the football game. But if that was one of the first times that you dabbled in soccer last night and you watched it, okay, you Pulisic, you recognize, Reyna, you recognize, that every living and breathing American soccer fan hates Berhalter.
Yep.
If you watch that and that was your first time last night, I would be very curious on what your reaction was, because that was not very kind to you. One, the first half, the camera angle, it was pretty cool to watch a soccer match from the moon. I've never done that before. That was pretty cool.
Did we do our show from the moon yesterday?
I mean, it was the world feed. It was bad. I want to know the conversations that went on at halftime, because it changed in the second half. And I'm sure the soccer community, I saw it, were outraged and said, we got to change this, because I'm not here to watch the all 22. And then you have some questionable officiating that is going on. Maybe some might even say corrupt officiating, which would really add to what happened last night if it came out that the teenager that was reffing this match, that he accepted gifts from Uruguay, which he has in the past of other teams that he has been involved with. That's come out this morning.
It's the old keep it fair. Keep it fair.
But then just a lack of urgency, an absolute mess, the vitriol. Just I would love to talk to the person that last night, that was your first time, and what was your reaction to USA Soccer? Because I think you might have checked out and said, never again. And oh, by the way, we got the World Cup in this country in 26.
And see, that I actually would want to see as a non-soccer fan, just going down to Kansas City for the party. But based on social media reaction last night, yes, there was a lot of fire Berhalter. There was a lot of, it was Jurgen Klinsmann all that bad? All those things, which made me realize, because I'll be honest, had no idea that there was a big match going on last night. Had no clue, because even the Copa, I don't really get fired up about. It's World Cup and the Olympics. It's all I really ever care about if I'm going to actually spend some time and watch soccer, because there's still I don't really know. I was doing play-by-play for high school state soccer for a few years. And the best thing I ever did was I brought on a buddy who was a coach, a high school coach. I'm like, you got
90 minutes to talk. Don't stop.
I'm going to track the ball, and I'm going to say where it's going. I might even talk about, a cross or here and there. But other than that, it's going to be as remedial soccer lingo. So you lay on the strategy and everything that's going on. Let me know what was actually a good play. And then, hey, this is going to be good. And it actually worked out. But it's hard for me to really get into anything that I don't fully understand the strategy behind it. Like, I could never watch cricket. Could never do that.
Okay.
I could never watch cricket. If I'm around people, like you said, when it's all about country and you're around a bunch of people that you really don't even care about strategy or anything, you just know, hey, when the ball goes in the net, your team, you scored, and that's exciting. And then you drink a beer because of it. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Again, Olympics, give me the World Cup, especially the World Cup coming up where it's going to be a party here in the States. Yeah, I'm
That's
fine
true.
with that.
I might pay attention.
I
would go
I'm
to a
good
game
with that. But so there was a time, and you remember I had a co-host a long time ago who was a very big soccer fan and wanted to do pre and post around the World Cup and go over all kinds of strategy and everything. And
homie here ain't doing that.
Yeah, and
I'm sure that'll sell like hotcakes.
I said, hey, you can talk about it all you want, but naturally in those conversations, you're going to look to the person you're doing the show with, and you're going to say, and your thoughts on this? And I'd be like, no clue. And I have I won't even try to fake that. I have no clue when it comes to what's good practice, what's good strategy, what style fits their particular team, and everything that goes along with that. But what I noticed last night is there are other people like me, a lot of people like me,
yeah,
but they actually do weigh in as if they are.
Yeah, they're probably like
experts.
me.
But you're not pretending. You're not saying, "Oh, they need to."
No.
They need to run this.
I mean, I
system.
think I know enough, but not the particulars. But I'm a red, white, and blue. Like when red, white, and blue is playing, I'm going to watch. And I'm going to support, and I'm going to wonder why are they so disorganized? And when they get to the 18, they have no sense of urgency, or all of a sudden things just fall apart, and they have a lack of attack. I'm going to ask those questions. The biggest question. Like for the fringe soccer fan, the biggest question is this country. What do we got? How many people we have living in this country? 330 million, maybe.
Yeah,
that live in the United States.
Yes,
I know it's not our sport, but we have come a ways in terms of who's playing it, and maybe not so much on the money side investing, but we deserve in this country a better product than we have seen since the current manager took over. There's my soccer thing, and I want what would make this even more relevant, because the soccer community is wired today. Okay, and there's always fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
I want the diehard soccer fan to be happy. Okay, but it's very few times that they are happy. I'm just asking if that was the first time watching last night. One, the camera angle, which I don't know if you ever covered a game at Arrowhead.
No, never.
Okay, so the new media press box, not where TV and radio is, or where the TV booths are.
Yeah, it's on the moon.
That was their camera angle last night. I've covered Chief games and sat up there.
Is it essentially like 7th floor at Memorial Stadium?
No, it's higher.
Well?
It's
Oh,
higher.
wow.
It's
Okay.
it's
It's a 7th floor at heaven.
Yeah, it is way up there. But that's where the camera was. Like when the NFL is playing there, the camera is right where the TV booth is, which is about, between the first and second level, and you got a better angle. But if you're watching that last night and you tune in, and you're like, oh my God, I did not sign up to watch the all 22 of this soccer match or something to be on the moon, and it's way too steep. I can't watch it. I'm losing my mind. And then they adjusted. Now, they said it was the world feed, which, I mean, how can you screw up this event on our soil? But then there was the part of the
world
officiating, which was just awful. Like I'm ready for like just some corruption stories to come out this morning. The referee would not shake Pulisic's hand afterwards. There's all kinds of controversy.
Well, wasn't on the goal. Wasn't that probably offsides?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If Denmark had a goal disallowed, then what happened last night? Kadarius Toney was onside. Okay, that's what that was last night. If that's how we were looking at that, ironically, in the same stadium. Yeah.
Sorry, you caught me mid coffee drink there. It almost came out my nose.
But I really want to hear from the person that last night, that was the first time you dabbled, and you're like, what is this? First of all, just the U.S. was a mess. Uruguay is pretty good, but the U.S., I don't know what they were trying to do. And then you had the camera angle in the first half, change in the second half. You had the officiating. Then you had Alexei Lawless afterwards, who just torched USA men's soccer.
Oh, did he go Taylor Twellman on him?
He went full. He got emotional. I thought he was gonna get tears. He went all in on USA men's soccer, and I don't have a problem with it because we are 2 years away from. Can you imagine? We get the World Cup in this country, and it's pretty cool. We've had the World Cup before for some of you youngs.
I remember that. I was a freshman in high school.
If the U.S. doesn't
car chase during the last
does not win at least one time on our soil during the World Cup, I mean, come on, what are we doing here?
That's where I see people getting triggered last night. Like I understand that part.
Well,
of
they got a couple of years to figure this out, and they got to find a new direction and probably spend some money on whoever is going to be in charge of USA Soccer, because it seems to be just an absolute mess since they hired Berhalter.
Yeah, and that's I remember similar conversations.
Stagnated is the word that I used with somebody last night. It seems like they've since in the last like couple of years they've stagnated.
Well, and I remember not maybe to the same level, but the Jurgen Klinsmann conversation there towards the end of, okay, it's just time for a new direction. But that's where I do understand last night's angst for people like me. If you were actually watching it, which I wasn't, but if you were actually watching and into it and trying to get a read of what this could look like in 2026, because I know there's a lot of people, again, like me, that are not invested into soccer day in and day out, but they are the big soccer event heads, especially when you have something as big as the World Cup that is going to be on our soil. Again, I remember this when I was a freshman in high school, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like we were playing FIFA on PlayStation, like we were into it. And you start to like, I saw this tweet a lot last night from people that I know, that I also know are not big followers of soccer. They're saying, so what you're telling me is we're not very good at this sport. And then you get the soccer. It's like, well, it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Shouldn't the U.S. be better?
I would think so. I would think just with the athletes that we have. And I mean, there is some money that goes into it, right? I mean, maybe it's not as much as the countries where it is their national sport, but there's some money that goes into it. But that's the part about hosting the World Cup that you should at least expect better. That if you're hosting it, you can't get embarrassed. We're not a country that is without the resources where you could just, well, yeah, people are so much better. And we can't do anything about that right now in this window of time. So it's going to be pretty ugly, but hey, it's going to be a party at all of the different locations in the United States with the World Cup. So just enjoy that, but don't expect much out of it. I think when you're hosting, yeah, you got to show out a little bit, at least somewhat overachieve. And based on what I'm hearing, the direction of leadership would not lead you to be confident in that in 26.
Yeah. They didn't deserve to win last night. They didn't play well. They would have backed into the elimination round. But I'm ready for this morning for a report to come out that Angel Hernandez's son was working last night in Kansas City.
And he's mad at the United States because that was where he wasn't played in the officiating game.
A lot of empty seats, though. 21,000 empty seats at Arrowhead on a Monday night. And it wasn't like it was 100 degrees in Kansas City.
Oh, it was nice.
For the USA soccer fan, we'll talk to you this morning. I know Bruin Steve, who is a big soccer fan, big Formula One, and big NHL fan.
Yeah.
He
goes against the grain.
If we hit two of those, he may have an orgasm on Twitter. Okay. The big O might be coming. But also with watching it last night on the presentation, and it was the world feed, and Fox apologized for it in the first half, and then they started to crush it. The conversation that must have happened at halftime, because it changed. It got me to think. We've talked many times on the show about watching sporting events that have just terrible angles, like Gallagher-Iba. When the first version of Gallagher-Iba, not good. The second version, not so much. You know, when TV angle, and not as many people watch it on TV. That is a really, really tough angle to watch sports, is anything from Baxter Arena. Baxter Arena has a terrible camera angle because it's way up at the roof.
Yeah,
and it's right on top of the ice, so you look like almost straight down.
Okay, now that you say that, and I'm thinking of different feeds that I've watched throughout the NCHC, it's not the best. I mean, and you know why? I would probably say I don't see it as much as I'm so used to it because of where I sit for home games.
Yeah, you got a terrible seat.
I have to look at the video board to give me some direction when it's in the corners because I can't see what's going on, especially if we're in a timeout window and I got to see what the hell happened if there is a stoppage. I'm usually watching that, the center ice screen, and so I'm probably more used to it. So when I watch an actual game or if I watch a road game, it looks different to me. But you're right. It is definitely a lot higher up than what you would typically see, say, even at Ralph or at Amsoil in Duluth, where it's a lot more lower and it's more conducive to the environment.
Can you imagine for a Creighton basketball game if your camera angle was up in the old hockey press box instead of they put the cameras on that first level, like on the concourse,
right between.
But if they were up on the in the hockey press box.
Yeah. No, you know what? That's a good point though, because now I'm thinking of when they play in Kalamazoo, where they it's a pretty small area. So even their highest point is still a much more ice level or better angle to shoot down from, that you do see a lot more of what's happening as opposed to Baxter. Yeah, that's a good point.
I wonder if people, again, if you didn't see it last night, it was steep. So it was at the top of the stadium is where the camera was, and they were not like zooming in.
And see,
so they changed it in the second half.
Yeah.
But there are some people that I saw enjoy that angle and would love to have that full time as they're football watching, because they get the all 22.
Mm-hmm.
They can see the entire field. Now I know the players much better in football, and the numbers are easier to read. I don't know that I would like as my number one viewing option, the all 22 for football.
Would that be kind of a cool alternative?
Well, it is an alternative.
Yeah.
I don't want it as my main one.
Right. Exactly.
Just like in the College World Series, you had the opportunity in the championship series either to watch the regular broadcast or they had the cam. Now, I'll dabble and I'll watch the cam, and I think dingers are better with an cam, because you get to see the reaction and the ball and what the umpire is looking at. But I'm not going to watch that as my main feed. Just like sometimes I'll go back and watch like an all 22, or when they do alternate broadcasts for like championship games, I'll watch all 22. But I don't want that to be my number one viewing option. And last night, for about 45 minutes of soccer, that was your option. You were watching the all 22.
Well, and even so you've broadcasted games like that where you are getting that type of vantage point. And the reason I brought up 7th floor Memorial Stadium is doing an 8-man game for a state championship there once. And so it's much less on the field, but then you go just that one floor higher up than the 6th floor.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how much further away you feel and how much more difficult it is to see what is going on in the field down there. Like it was I had never been up there, and I thought to myself, yeah, okay, if we're ever going to do one of these games again, we have to request being on the 6th floor, because that is impossible.
That's where they used to stick the KRNU.
Yeah.
They'd be up there.
That's and I think somebody had told me that. They're like, oh yeah, you're going to be in the student broadcast area. So I think at the time that I was doing it, they did still have them up there. And man, good on you if you're able to follow it that way, because it is not easy to see. And you're right, you do see a lot more of things developing, and I'm surprised because it didn't NCAA basketball, I want to say it was for the Final Four. They had a couple alternate broadcasts, and one was just like an overhead cam.
Yeah, in a dome. They were up in row 6. No, they were up in section 619, the last row.
And it was just I'm talking about the floating cam. That would basically, I think it was what do you call that anymore? It's the aerial cam, but it's basically on the cable.
Drone.
Yeah. Yes. There you go. And they had that broadcast entirely that way. So you were just looking overhead the whole time. Then you're just following the flow, which for a few possessions was kind of interesting to follow. And then you're like, yeah, no, my eyes are not trained to watch an entire game that way. So I'm not going to.
Well, I wonder how many people, Jimmy, you've been to Jerry's World.
I have.
How many people go to Jerry's World and they would say, I probably watched more of the game on the board than I watched on the field?
Probably you and me, for one, when we were at the same deal covering the same event about 11 years ago. I was covering the Kansas-Michigan game, and the only thing I saw of that game was Trey Burke's ass going up in the air as he shot the three, because you watch most of the game on the screen from where the media seating was. And you can't help it, because I remember going to the Big 12 championship in 2010. Same thing. Watched it on the big TV. It was right in front of us.
I did that for the Bears-Cowboys Sunday night game. When
you can't help it.
Well, we were behind the sideline, so that was our only option when we got those cool passes. So we're watching that, down on the field. So we're behind the Bears sideline, but then we went to our normal seats, which were okay. Yeah. And still, probably half of the game I'm watching the video board, because first of all, I mean,
you train yourself to ignore it.
I know, and it's just so massive. Now I know SoFi and everybody else is now catching up, but it's so massive that you're like, I can see everything. This is a great. But then you're realizing I got a live game going on right in front of me. Mm-hmm. It takes your attention away from it.
Like I've noticed that when I went to a game at Mercedes-Benz. You spend, because the video board circular above midfield is so different, you you do end up watching a majority of the game.
Yeah.
Back to a point you made. I bring this up all the time. I've told you guys, somebody who I went to college with is a season ticket holder in Lincoln, and he loves the first row.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that somehow when he was growing up, there had to be lead painting inside of his house, because I have no idea why anybody in their right mind in that stadium would sit in the front row, because you can't see anything. I did sidelines. I thought that's one of the worst views. It's cool to be down on the field. You hear the sounds and you're close to the action, but it's one of the worst views. And I have never understood on the sidelines. Now, if you're up in the north and south, you're at least elevated a hair.
Yeah.
But why would you ever sit in the front row or the first couple of rows at that stadium?
I'd rather sit in the 600 level.
That's
for that
why.
reason.
That's why I'm curious. With Nebraska changing sidelines, what did they do to the West Stadium? Because
question.
You have all that room on that side. Well, not a lot of room, but you have room on that side because they run the TV.
Yeah.
The TV truck through there with the camera. Like, are they gonna elevate those seats?
Yeah, because now you're right, with the TV angle.
You're not seeing anything
with the TV track there on that side. Now you have even more in your way and blocking your view right there too. Yeah, when I was growing up, if it didn't matter what sport, didn't matter what vantage point, if you were told you had front row seats, that was the coolest thing in the world. Absolute coolest thing in the world. So you're like, oh, wow, you just don't get this type of view anywhere else. As you get older and you realize I can't see crap, then you're like, no, I don't want this. I think honestly, as a kid, it's a lot more appealing, just because it's the fact that I'm front row. I get to see the players, because think about that part. That's as exciting as actually seeing the game when you're between the ages of like 6 and 14, is you're seeing the players that close on the sideline, not actually in the game, but you're like, oh my God, there's so-and-so. Oh, I know. Oh, that's what he looks like in person. You don't maybe care as much about how the game is playing out. You get to a certain age though, and you're like, okay, I get it. I need to see the game. I'm over just looking at a bunch of asses on the sideline right now. I need to see the actual game.
The worst place to have front row seats is
Williams Arena in Minnesota.
Oh,
because of the elevated floor.
The seats there though,
or do they
start even with the floor?
Okay. Never been.
Mine would be the worst place to have front row seats, because I'm very particular on my seats. Like if I'm going to, Nebraska, where my season tickets are, they're up in the South Stadium, so you can see the play develop. I think those are great seats.
Yeah,
hockey, I like sitting in the corner. I don't want to sit right on the glass.
Yeah.
Okay, because I can't see anything when it heads the other way.
Oh, and the glasses.
But I like sitting up in the corner. Even in basketball, where we broadcast from, it's not the greatest seat. I'd like to be up a little bit.
You can see things,
but I'm not going to
formations.
complain. I mean, we're lucky enough to do games and sit right there. I will tell you the worst place ever to have a front row seat. I'll take a concert, unless it's a mosh pit, because then you get squeezed up. The worst place to have the front row seat is at a comedy club.
Ooh, that's what you're getting
true. Is it?
No,
it's true.
Is it because you think you might be part of the act?
Yes,
you're fair game.
So
I'm with you.
The last time I was at the Funny Bone,
because you're right there.
We walked in, and I thought, okay, maybe we'll be. And if people have been to the Funny Bone here in Omaha, you got a couple of levels of seats, or levels of seating.
Always do the upper level.
We go in, and we're following the person that is taking us to our seats. You walk in, and you could go left and go up, a couple of stairs, and you're on the second tier, and then there's the third tier. No, we kept walking, and we were getting closer to the stage, and I'm like, oh no.
You're like, I'm not performing.
Oh no. Yeah, we were like just to the left of the stage in the front row.
Oh no.
At the table.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is miserable. Okay, do not make eye contact.
You're looking at
do not make eye
wearing,
contact. Yeah,
making sure you don't really standing up.
Do not touch your phone.
I do not want to be asked anything. Okay, I do not want to be part of the show.
Yep. Hey, who are you here with today?
And I'm like, I would gladly, for that person that is back in the fourth level of seating,
Yep.
I don't care what we paid for our seats. I will switch with you. Comedy club, worst place to be in the front row.
Unless you were seeing Gallagher and you had the ponchos, because that was cool. Didn't everybody like actually enjoy that part of it? Because they weren't going to be part of the bit other than when you smash the watermelon?
Only if you were in the splash zone for Shamu. Other than that, no.
No, we always...
I have sat in the front row at SeaWorld.
Yeah, it's
There
nice.
was, gosh...
nice stadium.
I'm trying to remember what the comedy club was over on... It was downtown. It's like almost like in the... Between, I think, 10th and Harney-ish area. It's not there anymore. It was right next to Banana Joe's. And they would always have...
I guess they weren't very funny.
No. Well, this is true. Because they would have either up-and-comers or just people who were not necessarily well-known. So it was more of like your B to C level comics, which...
So like Becca. I think Tom's funny.
He's got a lot of energy.
That's a ringing endorsement.
He's got a lot of energy. He's very passionate. Which there is probably nothing more uncomfortable than going there and a comedian struggling, where you're kind of forcing the laugh out. But anyway, and we saw a lot of that. But I remember it was open seating. You could sit anywhere. And anytime I go with some friends, we always stayed away from the front table, because especially in those environments, it's almost like if they knew their material was failing, they would just start going after the crowd.
Yeah.
And you're like, nope.
I've heard that as a vice of some comedians. Like that, they're not very good comedians.
Yeah.
There was a guy I heard being interviewed, and he said he's got just a couple of jokes, but his whole show is based off the audience.
Oh, God.
So if he has a good audience, then that's his show.
Yeah, keep me far away from that.
So
at least far away from the stage.
He starts interacting with the crowd, and he hears funny stories, and then he'll tell a joke. And
yeah. Now there's some people, I've been to at least a few where they relish that opportunity to be part of the bit.
Yeah, I don't want to.
No, I don't either.
That night I was not having any of it.
It's essentially like saying doing the roast me on Reddit.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, that's pretty much what it is, especially if you have a good comic.
Coming up at 9, Wilson Moore stops by. It's the lineup brought to you by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. You can always interact with the show. Just let it out. Red, white, and blue soccer. Just let it out and then let him go, as many are saying. World Cup will be here in 2026. Don't disappoint. 402-951-1620. That is the Zone Hotline, brought to you by 42 Degrees The Source, by your mom's house. You can also email us into the Equitable Bank inbox. We've already gotten an email, and the word asshat is used in the part of the first sentence. So I'll read that when we come back. Gary at 1620thezone.com.
Handley at 1620thezone.com.
Also on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Gary Sharp 1620.
At Nick Handley 1620.
Jimmy's got an update coming up after the top of the hour, and we will talk about the Matt Rule, Joel Klatt sit down out in California. That was super cash. Nothing, I don't know, controversial. Very sincere was Matt Rule. So we will discuss some of the things that he said that are new, as we are a day closer to the start of the college football season, and a day post Joe C. just annihilating Lincoln Riley in Norman yesterday. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley.
If you're a licensed real estate agent in Nebraska or Iowa looking to take your career to the next level, Modern Real Estate is seeking outgoing, high-energy individuals to join the team. Whether you prefer a salary-based, commission-based, or hybrid compensation structure, they have options to fit your needs. With leads provided, you can focus on what you do best, closing deals and achieving success. Don't miss out on this exciting opportunity to work with a dynamic and innovative company. Email your real estate experience to Tyler at modernrealestateco.com and start building your future with Modern Real Estate today.
If you love whiskey or just want to learn more about whiskey, you don't want to miss the largest whiskey event in the region. Get your tickets to Omaha Whiskey Fest 2024 at omahawhiskeyfest.com. September 28th at the Hilton Omaha downtown. 400 samples, more than 70 brands, expert presentations, and a whole lot more. General admission and VIP tickets available at omahawhiskeyfest.com. You can even make a night of it with special room packages from Hilton Omaha. Get your tickets now before they sell out.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards that zero-turn lawnmower you've always wanted. And after using its edge-shaping technology to meticulously sculpt the face of the Mona Lisa into your grass, you'll become the undisputed king of Saturday morning lawn care, leaving your neighbor and sworn enemy Gary to question his place in the delicate neighborhood ecosystem. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
It's simple, Nebraska. Do the FAFSA.
No, it's not a new dance trend.
It's the free application for federal student aid.
That's money for college. Thousands of dollars for classes, books, and housing.
Just 10 minutes is all it takes to apply for the financial aid you need.
With fewer questions and faster fill-out time, it's simple to see how much you're qualified for.
Go ahead, Nebraska. Do the FAFSA.
Get started at dothefafsa.org.
Email unsportsmanlike conduct on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox with whatever is on your mind, from your hot takes to what you think is one. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
When it comes to protecting your home, Jay Stennett Contracting takes pride in ensuring every detail is handled. Roofing, siding, gutters. When it comes to the exterior of your home, Jay Stennett Contracting has you covered. Water, wind, and hail can wreak havoc on the exterior of your home. If your home is damaged, let Jay Stennett Contracting come out for a no-obligation inspection. If repairs are needed, they will help you through every step of the process. When you need an honest assessment, Jay Stennett Contracting has you covered. JSCRestoration.com.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
I plan to rearrange my closet, but I stopped after picking the clothes up off the floor.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's award-winning language learning app will help you start speaking another language. Start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
Comment tu t'appelles? Comment tu t'appelles? Vous êtes où?
Vous êtes où?
Babbel's bite-sized lessons make it easy to learn words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks,
"How's your French going?"
you can say,
Babbel est amusant et facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue. Et cela ne prend que 15 minutes par jour.
when you want to really learn another language, it starts with Babbel. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
A smoke-free environment is the only way to fully protect from the dangers of secondhand smoke. That's why smoke-free policies are so important to me. Whether it's in my car, apartment building, or when I'm dining outdoors, there's no place for secondhand smoke or e-cigarette aerosol. Breathe easier knowing the facts. Visit smokefree.ne.gov. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Despite overwhelming support from Democrats and Republicans, time is running out for Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act, which will keep AM radio in cars. Text AM to 52886 and ask Congress to bring this bill to a vote now. AM radio is too important to let this moment pass us by. Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hey, you hear that? That's the sound of loose change in your pocket reminding you to buy a 99-cent medium fountain drink from Casey's. So the next time you hear this, you already know where to go. 99-cent medium fountain drinks. It's not crazy. It's Casey's.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
You know, it's so far this has been a good, in terms of timeline of an off season without football. The Kool-Aid has been pouring. Certain things hit you at the right time, like a Phil Steele magazine, which is at your favorite Walden Books. You could pick up today.
Walden Books. Do we have a Walden Books?
You guys do not remember the Walden Books?
I do.
When they were a competitor?
Yes, I do.
And then Barnes & Noble ran them out of town?
Yep. I remember the Walden Books.
Sam Goody?
Oh, yeah. If we're getting into old mall places, yeah, Sam Goody was another good one.
But then you have Joe Cladd and Matt Rule sit down for 25 minutes. We'll get into that. It is the 2nd of July. So is this the day that you can start lighting off fireworks illegally?
Yep.
All right. My
They've
neighborhood
been going on for a week.
See, my neighborhood, I think, is my neighborhood is Baghdad on July 4th, and it's understood. It's like one side of the street against the other side of the street, and they just gear up for it. And there is no premature shooting of fireworks.
Oh, that's really good.
Talking about my neighborhood where I grew up.
So people prepare accordingly, and then I think everybody that lives in my neighborhood understands that, unfortunately, if you have an animal that has anxiety,
CBD,
and a shirt doesn't work or any other medicine.
Oh yeah, thunder shirts.
Yeah, maybe leave the area.
Yep.
But I do feel because, even people have anxiety. But my neighborhood, there's an understanding July 4th is our day. And it starts at 6 and it goes until 6 on the 5th. And we end up on Omaha Scanner. And it's like a badge of honor. And I can't wait now that I'm on the Nextdoor app. I can't wait to read that thing.
That'll be a couple seconds.
Are you going to contribute to it?
No.
Oh, come on.
No, because I don't want my information out there. Because then all of a sudden people will be engaging with me.
You can't stir the pot anonymously?
Are you going to contribute in the fireworks itself?
Yes.
Nice.
But that would probably make our listener John, who writes into the Equitable Bank inbox, upset. Dear all you asshats that are lighting fireworks last night, including you worthless people that live across the street from me.
Good morning, asshats.
Do I give his address?
Wait, is this is an email? This isn't a Nextdoor app?
No, this is an email. Let me just start this email over again.
Can you do that again, please?
The subject line is PSA.
Okay.
Dear all you asshats that were lighting fireworks last night, including you worthless people that live across the street from me.
Does he tell you where
John lives way south.
Okay.
Way south. I'm not going to give the address.
Are we talking like
But
Bellevue?
he gave me the address.
Texas.
Like Plattsmouth?
Kansas?
No. It's Omaha.
Oh, okay.
But let me put in his address here. I'll be able to
tell you. Real quickly, while you're doing that, what I learned on Sunday is that where we just moved, we are actually out of the city limits where the actual official day that you're able to light off fireworks does not apply. So
you can do it in September.
Yeah, could.
Keep that in mind.
Don't like that. Don't like that at all. In fact, there was a lot going
7th?
on last night and it had nothing to do with the weather either. And I found out that we pretty much govern ourselves when it comes to lighting off fireworks, which I don't like.
So John lives near Millard West High School.
Oh,
let me just start this.
South?
Let me just start this email again.
You meant west. You said south.
Well, it's south 161st Street,
Southwest Millard.
So it's by Zorinsky Lake and Millard West.
Okay, I consider that.
I don't live out there.
So it's not south though. You know that.
I
thought you were talking about he lived by the zoo.
You can get some nasty lake effect snow out there.
Not everything in this town, South Omaha, has to be like 24th Street.
Well, you said south, so immediately I
because
thought
because his address is South 161st Street.
Thought we weren't going to give the address away.
Lives in South Fargo.
Millard West Legion Baseball must have had a fireworks show last night. It's okay.
All right, so let me read this email. Dear all you asshats that were lighting fireworks last night, including you worthless people that live across the street from me. You bring nothing to society. You should not be allowed to participate in society. And I hope you know why you are burning in hell when that is where you end up.
Oh my God.
I like his energy.
If you could please just hold on to one of those big ones a little longer, it would be appreciated.
Oh, I love John.
The rain will clean up the mess.
Oh, John's a man after my own heart. Can we give him a 16-20 the ball?
Wow.
Now, I've not gone further on giving.
He wants someone to go all JPP with a firework.
I would love to see John's Nextdoor app because he's talking specifically about the person who lives across the street from him.
Well, and clearly nobody is listening to him. That he is now reaching out to you on this too. You all right? You gonna get a drip?
My friggin' hair looks terrible.
Oh,
today.
I thought maybe you're getting a drip.
Okay.
Wow.
So okay.
Man.
I should have said the address is a south, not South O.
Okay.
Sorry,
South.
Corey.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
This was a.
But shout out, John. Good morning.
Yeah, and I always like to use that. There's
I'm in a good mood now.
there's a special place in hell for certain people. I also liken that to people who go into the workplace refrigerator and they eat someone else's lunch. I think there's a special place in hell for them, or people who heat up fish.
That's why you make chocolate cupcakes with the old X-Lax. teach some lessons.
Well, if you do have a repeat offender,
Too soon. We had an incident before you moved here with cupcakes, so just keep it moving.
The naked guy? Yeah.
That thing.
You could probably Google it, Jimmy, and find out, but just keep that one moving.
At the Zone?
No.
Oh, I was going
In
to say.
Omaha.
Okay.
Just keep it moving. Thank you.
So I guess I would think if you are overly frustrated with people that are shooting off fireworks, this is what I always, even when you can do it, if it is technically a work day, where I think that's getting less and less because I noticed there was a lot fewer people on the streets this morning driving. I still think there needs to be a shut-off time until you get to the actual 4th of July, unless it happens to fall on a weekend.
Lord.
But there needs to be a shut-off
Hey,
time.
Good luck enforcing that.
Right.
There, Captain Handley.
But I always think that's the courtesy, even though there isn't anything that actually they're going to enforce that. I feel like that's the courtesy to your neighbor. So if people are still lighting them off like at 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., I'm with, is it John?
It's John.
I'm with John.
Okay.
I'm with John. There's a special place in HE double hockey sticks for you.
Hey, before we get to the update with Jimmy, did you find what I was talking about?
I found a couple of things, actually.
Don't mention them. I know the people that were involved.
Good Lord.
I'm very, I guess this came up. I guess Jack Mitchell was talking about this yesterday. Our friend down at Broadcast House, 1400 KLIN, where I got my radio start. They were talking about Memorial Stadium and going to grass.
Yeah.
The way this has been discussed is fascinating to me because I think Troy Dannon may have learned a lesson. So the plan is Memorial Stadium is going to grass next year, not in 24, but in 25.
Yeah.
Maybe 26, but within the next 2 years, Memorial Stadium is moving to grass. Matt Rule wants it. But when the Board of Regent Whites was talking about some of the stuff at Memorial Stadium and having what'd you call it?
Oh, columbarium. Yeah. One of the best ideas that came out.
She mentioned the stadium being converted back into grass.
Oh. So she's pro grass.
Well, no. Well, here's how this is how it's unfolded. It's very fascinating to me because I think it's kind of Matt Rule wants grass.
Yep.
They have the grass practice fields, which
they look very nice too.
They're
well manicured.
Ooh.
Well, at least last year they were when they first put it out.
They have had a rough couple of months with their grass practice fields. They'll be fine when they start practicing August 1.
I'm sure they will.
So where this was originally told was in a private meeting with reporters. And it was an off-the-record mention that, so you guys know, but this is not public, we are going to grass. It's funny how a couple of those reporters could not wait to get out of that meeting to tell people that Memorial Stadium is going to grass. And this meeting was, 2 months ago? And now, because any conversion in Memorial Stadium the Board of Regents have to be involved.
Yeah.
And it's a cost. And it's also probably some of those people going, wait a minute, didn't we just install new turf?
Yeah.
And now because a conversion to grass to keep it up where you could play a football game in December, there's going to be a lot that's going to go into it. And the stadium's going to have to be shut down for a bit, post spring football leading up to the start of the season, all of those things that go into it. So the Board of Regents are going to have to be involved. So they know about this. And this thing that began as, if I find out if anybody mentions this, I know where it came from.
Yeah.
Because it was a select group of reporters that met with the AD. And now you got somebody from the Board of Regents that has mentioned this. And then Jack brought it up yesterday. I've talked about it. Again, people that were in that meeting were like, hey, man, guess what?
I got something to tell you guys. And I wasn't off the record or not.
And I wasn't the first to say it. I mean, I let somebody else say it, and then I'm like,
and then the floodgate opened up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fascinating how this all unfolded to be public, but the plan is that Memorial Stadium is going to grass.
Are there certain things that they're going to say that it's off the record that will be respected? Like, okay, yeah, we got you, and it stays off the record. But then there's other things where like, okay, and then you sneak it out to somebody else, and before you know it, like, Guys, I thought we talked about this. What the F? That is, though, the undertaking of that. It's no small thing because you mentioned not only what they're going to have to do after spring and just putting in the work to convert that, but now you're talking about a brand new staff, too. You're talking about a year-round staff that's going to have to maintain that, that's going to have to manicure that. So it's not necessarily as simple as, we'll just go from turf to grass and, nobody's to the wiser when it comes to the type of people that are going to be involved in this year-round now. Because especially with the climate, it's going to take a lot of work. Now, we've got more than capable turf management folks. I mean, we see it at Charles Schwab Field every year. We saw it at Rosenblatt. Jesse Cuevas, who is your neighbor. All those people. Like, I'm sure that this is going to be a great opportunity and a chance to – I'm excited about it. But, yeah, it's not as if – I mean, that's the one thing about the turf. I mean, that initial cost, it's a lot, but you don't have to really maintain it.
It's going to be really expensive to go to grass.
Especially the year-round maintenance of that and upkeeping of that. It's and for the standard that Nebraska is going to have with that, that's going to take a very dedicated crew, more than just one person that's like, oh, he's our turf guy.
Emailer into the Equitable Bank inbox wants to know, is that the petition that Nick Grimm keeps advertising about? Grass in Memorial Stadium.
He's the voice of weed and gambling.
The medical grass.
Nick Grimm is living his best life. He has got himself a gambling endorsement.
Yep.
He is the voice of medical marijuana, and he's got himself a girlfriend.
He does.
And his favorite baseball team, back-to-back walk-offs.
Oh.
The Rockies, the last two games.
All provided by Circa Iowa. I mean, how about that?
Is this
the summer of Nick?
Yes.
Not me.
It's the summer.
It's the year. 2024 is turning up Nick Grimm.
We're just entering the summer.
Yeah.
So it's the half year of Nick Grimm. So kudos to him. But that is not what he is advertising about.
No, it's the other grass.
But you just named the segment.
All right. Update with Jimmy is coming up next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time-Saving Traffic Center. All lanes and ramps have reopened I-80 westbound at 84th Street from that earlier accident. And from 84th to 87th on F Street, a lot of standing water there. Eastbound does have one lane open currently, but westbound is closed all lanes right now. No new accidents to report, but any new updates, I will get those to you. Stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Spring, it's the reward for surviving another winter. Fernando's, it's the reward for any day that ends in Y. Great Mexican food, awesome margaritas, and a wonderful family atmosphere. Fernando's, Omaha's favorite Mexican for more than 30 years.
ZZ Top, the Elevation Tour. October 1st, Liberty First Credit Union Arena. Playing all their classic hits. ZZ Top. On sale now at LibertyFirstCreditUnionArena.com or at the box office.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Presenting a Gain Flings love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
This is Pre-Tection. Yep, Pre-Tection. The everyday skin protection ritual that protects your skin from mosquitoes. Pre-barbecue. Pre-playground, pre-everything, pre-every day. Prevention is the best protection. This summer, make sure you have OFF, the #1 dermatologist recommended repellent brand. SC Johnson, a family company.
Worried about damage from the recent storms? J-Tech Construction is a local company you can count on to make your home right again. We are the official exterior experts of the Huskers. J-Tech Construction's team of experts can help you with your insurance restoration process. Turn to who the Huskers turn to and call 402-261-3682 today for your free assessment. Whether it's hail, wind, or just time for an update, J-Tech Construction's team is the trained local solution you can count on. Call 402-261-3682 today.
Life hack number 7. Get an iPhone 12 on Straight Talk. Life hack. Here's how it works. You walk into Walmart, go to the electronics section, ask for iPhone 12 with 5G and a dual camera system, and select the new Silver Unlimited plan. They'll smile because it's a good plan. You get real unlimited data all for just $20 a month for the whole first year. Get it at Walmart or StraightTalk.com. Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Taxes and fees apply. Requires activation of iPhone 12 and a new Silver Unlimited plan or higher end auto pay enrollment. $25 a month service credit applied for up to 12 months if eligibility requirements are met. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com.
Come see your Storm Chasers take on the Iowa Cubs at Werner Park on July 3rd. And stick around for one of the biggest fireworks shows in the Metro, presented by FNBO. Tickets at OmahaStormChasers.com.
Everyone get on your feet, stir up the storm with family.
Your child was embarrassed when you arrived at their basketball game. 75% of parents or guardians report current alcohol use. Drinking alcohol can cause harm to children and loved ones. By drinking less, your child will be excited to see you at their basketball game. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back to 1620 The Lifesavers. If you know, you know. The Storm Chasers probably saved some lives last night by making local people happy. That's because they defeated the I-Cubs 5-1 at Werner Park. They'll continue their 3-game series tonight, weather pending, as the weather schedule allows, before they both head to Des Moines for another 3-game set. In the NBA, Boston Celtics star Jason Tatum has agreed on a 5-year, $314 million extension, so congratulations on no longer needing food stamps, the largest contract in NBA history. Well-deserved. The deal includes a player option and a trade kicker, meaning the kicker for a trade, not they're going to trade for a kicker, but anyway, to each their own. The Celtics also agreed to an extension with former Spurs great Derek White earlier. Boston now has every member of its starting lineup under contract through at least 25-26. In that season alone, the contracts of Tatum, Jaylen Brown, White, and Drew Holiday, along with Kristaps Porzingis, will total $198.5 million.
Yeah, all 5 starters are going to make $30+ million a year.
It's good work if you can find it. Hey,
think Shireman will work for minimum wage to help the Celtics out, who also are up for sale now?
Yeah. Yes. Want to buy a basketball team? Well, the Celtics majority ownership group, led by Wick Grousbeck, is going to capitalize on their success, planning to make the franchise available for sale. Do I hear 1620 the team? Grousbeck and partner Steve Pagula, or however the hell you say his name, I don't care, two rich guys led a group that purchased the team in 2002 for just $360 million. Since then, franchise valuations have skyrocketed, much like everything else, with the latest teams to sell controlling shares being the Suns, which went to $4 billion to genius Matt Ishbia in February of 2023, the Bucks with Jimmy and Dee Haslam paying $3.5 billion several weeks later, and the Mavericks with Adelson and Dumont and the Dumont Network paying $3.5 billion in December. Wish they could get the NBA over ESPN. Other free agency stuff. Klay Thompson has agreed on a 3-year, $50 million contract with your Dallas Mavericks, ending his historic 13-year run with the Golden State Warriors. Good riddance to them. Thompson's deal was largely inspired by a chance to compete for a 5th title with the Western Conference champion Mavericks. The deal required a multi-team sign-and-trade deal that sends Mavericks guard Josh Green to the Hornets and 2 second-round picks to the Warriors. Dallas is sending its own 2031 second-round pick to the deal. as well as the least favorable of the 76ers or Nuggets second-round picks in 2025. There are only 3 games in baseball last night, which explains a lot. The Fighting Mountains defeat Milwaukee 8-7. The Astros win again. I'm getting used to this. They beat Toronto 3-1. And the Mets rally to beat the Nationals 9-7. Speaking of that contest, Mets outfielder Brandon Nimmo missed the game after fainting in his hotel room overnight. We've all been there, and hitting his head when he fell. Mets manager Carlos Mendoza Line said Nimmo cut his forehead but did not have a concussion. Isn't that how David Carradine died? Oh. One of the Carradines. Anyway, Nimmo said he woke up not feeling well around 5:15. Yeah. He went to the bathroom, cramped up. We've all been there, and fainted. When he came up, got up from the floor, he was bleeding from the head and wasn't sure why. Again, I see. He called the Mets trainers who went to his room to assist him. He went to the hospital yesterday for tests, including a CT scan, but arrived at the ballpark before the game and spoke to reporters and Grimace with a bandage on his forehead. He said as a precaution, I wonder if Grimace visited him in the hospital. He said as a precaution, he wouldn't be available to play Monday night, but hoped to be back in the lineup very soon. Finally, the University of Utah formally names defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley as the successor to longtime football coach and favorite of this program, Kyle Whittingham. While no retirement date has been set for Whittingham, Scalley's most recent contract calls for him to become the school's next coach whenever William Whittingham decides to step down from the Big 12 superpower. The contract includes a starting salary of at least $5 million per year if he's elevated at the end of the season per the contract, and that number increases by $100,000 each subsequent year, topping out at $5.4 million after January 16th, 2028, which is not exactly Bobby Bonilla Day, but we love Kyle Whittingham, and a lot of people wondering, is this his last year? I don't know. Hopefully not, but they got their guy to replace him when he does, because that always works out when you name someone head coach in waiting.
Yes, it does. By the way, congratulations to Henry Rayberg from Millard North, the big lineman. His dad played at Iowa State. He's going to Wyoming. So another FBSer in the class of 25 for football in the state of Nebraska. So congratulations to him. Millard North, now a football school.
It's good. Feels just right. This is, this also pains me a little bit too, though, because as a proud, I can't even say this, a proud Millard South at the time Indian, now Patriot, but then transferring over to Millard West. Everything Millard North I was supposed to root against, but then being part of the baseball program there in my latter years or my adult days, I'm pro Millard North. I'm a Millard North supporter, so I'm really a Millard school district. Well, yes, I didn't. I was just on the staff.
But you were part of a championship team.
It was very easy. They were very good.
Well, you got a big boy coming from Millard West, Mike Erickson's son.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Erickson is gigantic. Got offered by Nebraska. We'll get many offers.
I'm sorry. Jimmy looked at the TV and made a reaction, and I thought I missed something.
No. So I missed something. I didn't see this.
Okay.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
I also just saw a comment on the stream.
Well, I'm going to be a kind of a Millard bandwagoner too. If Millard South is really good in football, like they project to be, then I'll claim Millard South because that's where I spent my first 2 years. Of course, when Dan McLaughlin won their first state title and Millard West got going, then of course I was a very proud Wildcat alum. So yes, I'm a front runner.
That's okay. Many are.
Yeah.
You admit it, which
I don't know about that. I don't know about that when it comes to sports in that town, though.
No, it's actually not something you can. You usually get shunned, but at least
a bit cutthroat.
It is. But I can cite specific examples of why it's okay for me to root for all 3 high schools because I've had experiences at all 3. Now most of those people are gone. The only one really is Kirk Peterson, which I'm always rooting for Kirk. If it comes down to any of those 3 schools and they're head to head, I'm always pro Wildcat.
Sandy Buddha wasn't.
He wasn't pro Kirk.
Kirk showed up, wanted to play quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
From Des Moines Hoover. And he's like, I think you're better over on that side of the ball. Yeah. And turned out to have a nice career at UNO.
And he did. And he also turned out to be a very good coach on that side of the football as well.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Ken sends an email directed more to you, Gary, and the story you told last segment, talking about John. Again, good morning, John. Man after my own heart.
John needs a hug.
People are crushing John.
What?
John
Ken's team John here. He goes, I love this guy and is a man after my own heart as well. The people where I live, he tells me that do the same blanking thing. They're all douche canoes. Thank you, Ken. Always appreciate
Hey,
it.
he's using one of your little phrases
I am
there.
so glad that I have gotten douche canoer trending.
I got to admit,
that people
I think
use it in regular conversation.
one of our first shows together when you use that, I believe I used it the following weekend to describe somebody, and someone else thought it was really cool and very rare. I don't know if I gave you the credit or not. I might have. I probably didn't. I probably tried to take it as myself. I'm sorry.
All right. Thanks, Jimmy. 25 minutes yesterday. You got to watch Matt Rule and Joel Klatt. I think that was the sit down at the Big Ten meetings in California, because that didn't look like Waverly. Like Klatt didn't come to Rule's house and sit out on the porch.
Well, and then what golf course would they went on and hit a shot?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that was when they were out in California. But any sit down with Rule, any presser, he's just an easy listen because he's very, very comfortable.
He had his game day gear on, though.
Yeah,
I did. He was ready for a game.
Because I don't think
red shoes. You're making a statement.
I mean, I've seen him wear a suit to some events.
Yeah,
but he looks very uncomfortable wearing a suit.
Yes,
so he's very cash. Like he's always very cash.
Yeah,
I mean,
but that looked more of a game day attire.
I mean, maybe they were doing a photo shoot.
They might have been.
And he also, I mean, look at the Klatt when interviewed Dion, and he was
that's true.
Dressed like he was about to run out in front of Ralphie.
Maybe that's the requirement.
But there's a lot of things in there that Rule said yesterday. But I want to start here because it's a very enlightening conversation. And Joel Klatt is, even being a Colorado guy, I think is a Matt Rule fan.
Yeah.
First and foremost, he has a lot of respect for Nebraska football, but I think he's a Matt Rule fan. And Rule and Klatt speak a lot of the same language.
And I think they're both football nerds.
And it comes out even more that Rule has approached this season as all gas, no brakes.
Yep.
But in my opinion, listen to him talk, because he said a line, among others. To me, it's a matter of when, and I sure hope it's this year. It just adds to the 2024 season at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln is the fork in the road in the future of Nebraska football.
What he was talking about with the fork in the road?
No, this is what I'm saying.
Okay.
That the 2024 football season at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln is the fork in the road in the history of Nebraska football.
Saturday night against Colorado.
No, the whole season.
This season.
Brother,
Yeah. Okay.
Brother,
Okay.
Brother, there's at least 12 games, and you hope they add at least another one.
Very true.
And I don't care if it's year 2 of Matt Rule. There is a quiet confidence. I've told the story of the players feel the same way. Like nobody is talking. Like I think Nebraska will be super boring in a couple of weeks in Indianapolis.
I do too.
There's a lot of momentum and there's a lot of love. And there's oh God, here we go again. Nebraska's winning an offseason title. I will tell you, inside of the walls, it's not just coaches, it's players that have a quiet confidence because they like how they feel. They like how they're working together. They can see it. For the first time in a while, a veteran offensive lineman told me that they can see it. They not the light at the end of the tunnel. They can see progress. And that hasn't necessarily been the case. And this is someone who's going to play a lot of football this upcoming year. So we have talked now for weeks about what the future of Nebraska football does. Secure a spot at the big boy table. Secure more seats in Memorial Stadium that are nicer to sit in. Do this, this, and this. Put Nebraska in a good spot. But they got to start winning. It's time to start winning. It's time to stop selling sunshine and selling success. This isn't anything new. People that are in charge, they know this. But think about this for a moment because we got to play both sides. And this is why I say there's a fork in the road. And I'm on 7-5, and I think 7-5 for Nebraska is a successful season. Because Nebraska hadn't been to a damn bowl game since 2016. And can you imagine all the buildup and momentum, and people feel good. And it's all on you if you want to buy in or say, I got to see it first. That's perfectly fine. And you should be that way because we've all been burned.
Yeah.
But there are some good things that are happening. There just needs to be validation and results when they turn on the scoreboard. But for a moment, look at the opposite of this discussion, Nick. A lot of positives, right? What if Nebraska doesn't go to a bowl game this year? I know you can say, wow, it's only year 2.
Oh,
Matt Rule has sped up.
Yep.
Has sped up the timetable. What if they don't go to a bowl game at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln this season? And for the 8th straight December, we're like, whoa, Hoiberg, nice job. Not for 8 straight years of Hoiberg, but the attention towards football drifts a bit. Just approach that, and then I'll move, because you have to look at both sides. If I'm saying this is the biggest fork in the road in the history of Nebraska football,
there are two things to that conversation, and it's one that I think you have to have. It's not a popular one to have, especially this time of the year, but it's one that you have to have. The first thing about it is what Matt Rule, the foundation of which he stands on when it comes to what I think, and I think you would agree that he communicates his plan so well to fans and to the media. The foundation of which that stands on, it is extremely, extremely unstable. I know, and that's where you're thinking, okay, wait, year two, but I go back to the amount of buttons that he has pushed that just seem like the guy gets it. And you've seen enough in year one of results with player development. A lot of the fabric of what this coaching staff led by Matt Rule is a part of. Identifying talent, getting them in, developing, openly communicating, very little turnover. And that is what this coaching staff's about, because all of that is going to lead to a successful program in the long term. You don't go forward at all. I mean, let's say if this is another 5-7 season, you fail to go to a bowl game and there's no positive momentum, then you significantly question what some people say. Are you a salesman?
People will go,
Yep. And that's fair.
What happened? What I wanted to believe in you, and I got the same old.
Yep.
But yet the roster is improved.
Right. And then the second part of this is,
and I'm not saying that's happening because they're going to be better.
The second part of that, though, would be the overall fan feeling to Nebraska football as it stands and where it will stand. And that is, you continue to sink lower and lower of what I think is probably the worst thing for a program when this is the state's program of apathy. Of you resign to the fact, if you haven't in moments in the last decade anyway, you resign to the fact of this is just never going to work again. Which you and I both know that's
that's a fair point. That's a fair point, because I thought about this when I was going to make this comment. Is they have the guy that I think when you are the head football coach of the University of Nebraska, you have to understand us. Okay, you have to understand the job.
Yep.
Because it's different here. It's not for everybody, but it's different here. What the fan base has gone through, the good, the bad, the ugly, what they put up with, how they stick around, but how we approach that program, you have to first understand that and understand the expectations that are not to hang banners and repeat what happened in the 90s, but just give good football and make Saturdays appealing. If you understand that, then you get it.
Yeah.
Matt Rule gives off the vibe that he gets it, that he understands it, that he wants to be here. That's all we're asking.
Yeah.
We're just asking for somebody that gives off the impression that you want to be in a job that is the most important job in this state. He gives you that.
Yep.
So you put a lot of faith in him, and to the point you just made, I'm not afraid to say, man, if a guy that is an adult that has a plan with minimal expectations initially can't get it going in the right direction, are we just screwed?
I think that's where everyone goes.
Should we just become a basketball school?
Yeah. Start putting all the money into baseball and keep volleyball rolling. But and an extension of that, it, in my opinion, carries over into the roster then too. Carries over into in-state products, carries over into everything that you're doing going forward. I mean, this is year two is not just important because it's year two and it's time to finally put the big boy pants on, get to a bowl game, and let's start seeing the fruits of that labor. The future of the Nebraska football program, I'd hate to say year two is going to be so telling, but in this conversation, as we're saying, if they were not to go to a bowl game, what that would look like. One of the great things that I saw this season with this football program in the offseason was the lack of turnover. I think that apathy that I think is inevitable that hits the fans in year 2, and you still don't go to a bowl game with an improved roster, an improved look, all of a sudden starts hitting that roster as well, where you start to think, especially if you are new to the program, you start to wonder, man, is everything what people were saying true about, man, this program's just snake bit? Am I in the best environment? I love these coaches. I love their energy, but are we ever going to win here? At some point, I got to win. At some point, I want to be a part of that. That's where I think all of a sudden the roster floodgates open as well.
This is the year to become relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Because the college football train in the Big Ten is moving. And Nebraska has a ticket on it, but they're not in like the really nice. Have you traveled on the train? So you know you had the distinguished cars.
Oh, yeah.
Like sometimes you get stuck with all the regular people.
Yeah. And
when
then you
want
have
to
the first class
when you
one,
want to be
too.
bougie.
Mhm.
It's kind of like flying on a plane, but I use the train.
Although, are we really bougie if we're traveling on a train?
Oh, some of those trains are really nice.
It take forever to get to places, though.
Yeah, but man, the beauty of being on the train.
And they have a bar cart.
They do.
Which is always a plus.
They do. And you can just get to see the more scenery.
That's true, I guess.
But, you know, the train in the Big Ten is moving. And Nebraska has a ticket on it. Okay?
Yep.
But they're kind of like, they're still sitting in the back car, the general admission section.
They're waiting for a seat to open up.
They would like to move to the middle tier and have a secure part in the middle tier.
Yeah.
This is all about being relevant this year. Like establishing relevancy that at the end of the year, with whatever the record is, wherever Nebraska is going to play in December, that when you put your head on the pillow for Christmas and little Gabriella at 8 years old goes, "Daddy, should I follow Nebraska football?" And you say, "Yes, this is the time.
It's coming.
It's relevant. Nebraska football. This is the year to figure out if Nebraska football is relevant." And my level of relevancy might be low compared to some of y'all. I say 7 wins and playing in December is good enough for me. Now, I'm not oblivious to the fact that they could be an 8-win team.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, they could trick off a 9, but they can't go below 7.
Yeah.
So this is the year to establish relevancy. And then, as I have said, and this is one of my themes, is 24 sets you up for 25.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about the schedule. 24 momentum sets you up for 25 with your roster and where you're going.
Yeah, and absolutely. The other part about this that I do find to be an interesting conversation when it comes to where Nebraska football is now, and this goes to what you were talking about with the understanding the fans, because I agree. And if anybody watched or listened to Joel Klatt's interview with Matt Rule, that was a big part of the first part of that interview, is what he likes about Nebraska, and then talking about feeling that obligation. And Matt Rule, he said that to us before too, feeling that obligation to deliver to these fans, being in awe of seeing the stadium during warmups almost completely full, which is unheard of. And it's amazing. Even Joel Klatt talked about how that was crazy when he was playing in Lincoln. So again, this is where we trust that Matt Rule gets that and wants to do right by that. We trust it. And that's why it is so important to see some type of return on that investment this year. And I'm with you. 7 wins, there's going to be a lot of positives to draw from that. But there was a time in Nebraska football, and this is where, again, I think we all know about how it was in the 90s. But there was a time, hell, I remember how I felt in 2002 when Nebraska went 7-7. It was a 500 season, but even the thought of 7 wins was unheard of. The sky was falling. It was the worst thing ever. Now you're in a position, and yes, mind you, college football has changed, but also the product on the field for Nebraska has changed, where it's humbled this fan base. I will scream this from the mountain as long as I live until we go somewhere else with this program, of when people say, you know what the problem is with Nebraska football is your fans have unrealistic expectations. I think that is the most old and tired narrative about Nebraska football anymore, because it is a humbled fan base where a 7-8 win season can go so far with the fan base. They're just looking for a little bit of reassurance of what is happening and what they're hearing when those two things are intersecting. And again, if you looked hard enough last year, you could see what was being presented and what was happening behind the scenes and in spots in that first year, you can see that those things are closer to aligning. But year 2, and I know 7-5 maybe has context, but a 7-win season, you're that much more closer to the presentation and the alignment, because we talked about how big is this for recruits. We've been talking about, not getting a guy like Chase Lofton, not getting certain recruits that Nebraska was in on, because at some point they've got to be able to see that on the field. But I also think for the current roster, with one of the great things this staff has pulled off is selling these guys that you want to be here. Trust us, you want to be here. Don't even question it. Just go with it. I promise you, you will get the results you want, whether as an individual, having an opportunity to play at the next level, or having to play in meaningful November games that could impact the conference and at some point the college football playoff. Just trust us that we're going to do that. And if you show a 7-win season or an 8-win season or even a 9-win season, that roster that you're trying again to keep that continuity and continue to build this. And as what do you always say, Gary? Get old and stay old. You have a much better opportunity to sustain that type of growth, because you're showing that current roster, they're not going to leave if they're seeing, damn, okay, now this is actually happening.
Yep. This is the year to win games that matter. And there's also the part of Matt Rule has to win games that matter. It doesn't have a great record against ranked opponents from either at Temple or at Baylor or in a brief time at Nebraska.
Yeah.
It's time to win games that matter.
That's
like
100%.
Like week 2 against Colorado. Yep. And I know that his comments about Shedeur might be spun differently in Boulder. The man's pretty sincere. We'll get into that. But I think this year is for so much that goes into the result of on the field is the fork in the road.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't win again this year and it's 8 straight years without a bowl game, are you going to be willing to pony up for more tickets, more stadium improvements, more to
NIL.
buy a player?
Yep.
Or the next time that a coach who is a comfortable listen says something post-December, you go, heard that before.
Yep.
Welcome.
Yep.
Hope you didn't, you're not secure in that mortgage you got out there in Waverly.
Hell,
But-
he even said it.
But yeah, he said it. He's all gas, no brakes this year.
Mm-hmm.
He gets it. He knows something maybe we don't know. Even more so, even though the offseason has been pretty good for attention for Nebraska. All right, 7:33. Wilson Moore will join us a little bit later. A couple other things from what Matt Rule and Joel Klatt talked about. And Nebraska got a pickup yesterday. Number 14. Should get 2 more this week to get to 16. Maybe we will have July 4th announcements.
Oh,
I don't think
explosive.
I don't think Nebraska has any Kansas City kids that are ready to make a decision, because they've had 2 Kansas City kids that committed to Nebraska on July 4th.
Oh.
One of them was perfect to commit on July 4th.
Was that Bubba?
Freedom.
Oh, yeah. Did he commit on July 4th?
Committed on July 4th.
Oh my God, I didn't even realize that.
It's mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Hey, you could commit to upgrading your wardrobe. If you're familiar with Lindley Clothing, which has been outfitting men for over 8 decades, they've now got more sizes, more styles, and more selection with Lindley Clothing and the addition of Well Suited right next door. And as a celebration for the next couple of days, their BOGO 50% off sale is going on. Buy one suit or sport coat at regular price and get a suit or sport coat of equal or lesser value at 50% off. It's all the styles, the great styles. Peter Millar, Bugatti. Yes. Buy one, get one 50% off sale at Lindley Clothing, suits, sports coats. It only goes until tomorrow. So you got to get there today. Check them out. Also, check out Well Suited. If you've not been into Well Suited, one thing doesn't change is the top-notch customer service. They will take care of you to find the best fit, and they won't abandon you when you leave the store and you go, oh, maybe that wasn't. No, they will take care of you. That's what sets them apart. Not only the sizes, the styles, the selection, but the customer service. And they're one of us. They're not from some warehouse. They're one of us at Lindley Clothing, 132nd and West Dodge in the Linden Market. Get in there before tomorrow for the BOGO 50% off sale.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. The Connor Happer Show.
I like to hear AI Lou Hook. This is a rundown of your top 25 scoreboard from Saturday's action. We begin with the Bulldogs of the SEC, Georgia, number one in the country, between the hedges.
What's up with Ryan Day's beard, Lou?
Looks a little painted on, if you ask me, just for men.
The Connor Happer Show, weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620, The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Funplex Water Park and Rides from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Storms clearing out for your Tuesday morning, but flooding still a concern with so much rain falling during the overnight hours. Through the afternoon, we'll have cloudy skies and another chance of stronger storms through the afternoon hours, and then late evening and overnight storms clearing out again. I'm meteorologist Luke Vickery, KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time-Saving Traffic Center. No new crashes to report. Just some slower-moving traffic I-80 westbound right now between Giles and NE Highway 50. Traffic will certainly pick up here in the next hour or so. And if you are heading out soon for your morning commute, a lot of standing water from the overnight storm. As updates come in, I will get those to you. Just stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
We are excited to announce the grand opening of Saul's Jewelry and Loan's new downtown location. It's a Saul's shopping experience like you've never seen. Amazing jewelry finds at our famous best-in-town prices. Tools, bikes, guitars. 22nd and Hardy, downtown Omaha, Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
How powerful is Cox Fiber? Powerful enough to let your band members in Vegas, Phoenix, and Omaha jam like you're all in the same garage. Introducing Cox Fiber, from the company with the fastest download speeds 9 years in a row. It's internet built for tomorrow, today. Cox, always building better. Limited availability in select areas. Speeds vary and are not guaranteed. Cox terms and other restrictions may apply. Analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence in Las Vegas, Omaha, Phoenix. Fixed median download speeds Q2 2016 to Q1 2024.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Host Coffee stands as the vibrant heart of every break room, offering the unique fusion of traditional quality and modern flair. We're not just your coffee provider, we're the center of memorable workplace moments. Call Host Coffee today.
Proudly serving Nebraska since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Watching a ball game at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is pretty awesome. Oscar's offers the MLB package, so your team is always on their upgraded audio-video system, and nothing is better than watching the game with a cold frosty one, Oscar's Pizza, or award-winning char-buffed wings. And with daily lunch and dinner specials, it's really a no-brainer. So get ready to watch your favorite team play ball at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Brent Rasmussen of Mortgage Specialists. Here's a fact that doesn't seem to get mentioned enough. Owning a home actually helps you build personal wealth. Homeownership is a huge factor in building personal wealth. There are some naysayers who say it's too expensive, but rates will come down, and when they do, the competition is going to be fierce. One financial statistic shows that the net worth of those that own a home is 40 times greater than those that rent. So maybe take a few minutes to call me at Mortgage Specialists to go through the reasons why, even though the current market is different, why it's always a good time to buy a home to build your net worth. I'm Brent Rasmussen. Call me at Mortgage Specialists and we can show you all the details. Mortgage Specialists. Driven, trusted, reliable. Click mtg-specialists.com. NMLS number 5918, Equal Housing Lender.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, while you're celebrating the holiday here in the midweek, if you were smart and you had elite scheduling, you are off the entire week. You've been very smart. You got out of town last Friday. You won't be back until late Sunday night.
Saw my other neighbor did that. They had the big old camper loaded up. It looked really cool. And then they were gone the next day. I was like, they're going to be gone for a full week.
Some of us might have to stick around because some of us work on the 3rd and the 5th, which is fine, but we will not be working on the 4th. But while you're celebrating, I have got a tip for you if you're eating ice cream.
Oh, okay.
You want a game changer?
I do. I
Like
game
you might be
changers.
like a hot fudge guy. You know, you're sitting around with the family and you got your bowl of ice cream and you put a little hot fudge on there.
I'm more Team Caramel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Try Rice Krispies.
Oh.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Thank you. I'm
little crunch in there.
Just trying to help people.
Okay.
You know what? Do something different. Just try something, and it might be a game changer in your mouth with a little snap, crackle, and pop.
Yeah.
But pour a little Rice Krispies on top of your ice cream.
When did you experience this? I feel like this was a recent
I've done this a
development.
couple of times.
Have you? Okay.
Yes. You know what? I'm really trying to be a kid.
Well, that would be a hit with the kids.
Like
too.
I would really like to live in a world where I have no responsibilities.
Simple times.
I would like to do nothing.
There are moments that when I either pick Reese up or say it's the weekend, he throws a lot of fits, as many 3-year-olds do. I think to myself, boy, you get to wake up. You got people waiting on you hand and foot. You go to school, you play. You don't even go to necessarily learn. People aren't like judging you of how well you're tracing or coloring.
Oh,
you can color outside the lines. It doesn't matter. You know what? You go to school to play.
Wait a minute. Hold on here. They
teach tracing, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's part of the cognitive studies or whatever you want to call them, part of their curriculum.
Yep, preschool.
Mm-hmm.
To teach
Jimmy
tracing?
knows. Yeah.
It's a fun time.
Do they teach copying as well?
Well, that comes later. Plagiarism happens a little bit later on. So
it's not. It's comparing
but yeah,
answers.
I think of the amount of, and we're part of the problem, but the amount of snacks he gets before dinner. I would love to be able to crush a bunch of fruit snacks throughout the day. I mean, they get good meals at daycare too. Like, I mean, being a kid, that's okay.
I would like.
It's all right.
I would like to go through a time where I have no responsibilities.
Yeah,
I just do, whatever. I can sleep all day. I just like that moment. So
it's called retirement.
So I'm like dabbling in my kid phase.
Yeah.
And I saw some Rice Krispies and I was like, poured it on top. Not bad.
I could see that being really good. I could see that being the equivalent of if you don't necessarily want it in not the waffle cones, but what are the other, they're like the sugar cones, the more, the soft texture. Mm-hmm. If you don't want it in the cone, this would essentially be very similar to that with a little of the texture, a little bit of the crunch. Yeah, I've never done that, but I could see that being very, very good.
All right. Welcome back in. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. There's Nick. I'm Gary. There's Jimmy. 3 guys that are not responsible at all.
Indeed.
Even though we have many responsibilities.
That is true.
So I'm going to make one of our P1ers, Kyle. I'm going to make him really, really happy here because I'm going to ask a question. So I was perusing my Phil Steele. Phil Steele loves himself some Iowa. I mean, I would love myself some Jay Higgins. I think he could be the defensive player of the year in the Big Ten, the linebacker for Iowa. But Phil Steele has Iowa in the playoff. He thinks that they could go 11-1. Talking about Iowa, man. Talking about Iowa. But Phil Steele loves Iowa. Schedule is not bad. Defense is still going to be salty. McNamara healthy. New offensive coordinator. Who knows? But Phil Steele has them in the playoff. And, there's a lot of discussion about schedules and who has a more manageable schedule. Well, I'm here to tell you, because Lombardi told me this one time. He said, you just got to play the game. It doesn't matter. You could get beat by Georgia Southern, okay? When you've already had that chalked up as a W. So don't specify which. So don't play that win loss loss game. Is anyone this offseason gonna talk about Wisconsin?
That's a great question. Great question.
We haven't. Well, we've talked a little bit about Wisconsin. Yeah. The schedule creeps in because their schedule is a little bit more difficult than it has been in the past for Wisconsin. But I got Athlon, I got Lindy's, now I got Phil Steele. Brett Ciancia's Pick 6 preview is coming out here shortly. not a lot of people are talking about Wisconsin. Luke Fickell's second year. They did have a winning season.
Yeah.
They overcame some injuries. They should be better in year 2. They have 14 returning starters. The offensive line, I think this year will be closer to a typical Wisconsin offensive line than it has been.
Mm-hmm.
But will anyone talk about Wisconsin? Because quite frankly, it's a little bit wild to say this. More people have talked about Nebraska than they have Wisconsin this offseason nationally.
No, you're right. And if you would have told me that a year ago, going into last year with how splashy of a hire that was, where, okay, Luke Fickell for the 11th hour before the Matt Rule hiring was all of a sudden connected to the Nebraska job. And then all of a sudden, whoa, he's at Wisconsin 24 hours after that announcement with Matt Rule, Nebraska. And then the amount of hype that went in there. And I don't want to say hype as if it wasn't somewhat justified because of who they had in their backfield, what Wisconsin's known for up front, and having a pretty good defense coming back, that there was a lot of reason to believe that between Luke Fickell's expertise on the defensive side and then knowing that you weren't going to completely go from a running physical attack to this air raid, but you're going to transition, but you felt like you had your quarterback there. You had Braylon Allen. It seemed like, I don't know if people felt somewhat burned. I mean, they were still a 7-win team last year.
They had injuries, quarterback and running back.
Absolutely. Ches Malusi for the 15th time now has been injured. I don't know if people felt burned by that, if the offensive line play wasn't up to the elite Wisconsin level. And you had a lot of young guys that people cooled down a little bit on Luke Fickell in Wisconsin, where I think, and now you fast forward, you have a new quarterback, even though he's known in Tyler Van Dyke from Miami. And you're again looking at your number one running back in Ches Malusi, where you're hoping that he can stay healthy and play the entire season, but that hasn't necessarily been his past. I don't know how much value the quarterback position has played with Wisconsin in predicting their upcoming season historically, but I think in this offense now it does. And then you also have a lot of unknowns where you've got essentially 3 transfer wide receivers that are going to be a big impact, a part of your offense. So I think it's more of the unknown more than anything when it does come to Wisconsin. But you're right. It's a program that has always been on the radar Big Ten-wise. And then when Luke Fickell got the job last year, we thought, oh, my gosh, this is going to be amazing. I remember having this conversation, and I think it was with you, about teams that we felt were already in the final year of divisions, really positioning themselves for the new Big Ten. And I thought Wisconsin, with that hire and what they were aiming to do offensively to evolve a little bit with still the element of the running game, but evolve a little bit, I thought that they were positioning themselves in a very good spot for the new Big Ten. And I'm not saying I've completely written them off, because they did. They won 7 games, and you're right. Big part of their season last year was injuries.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to say that about Wisconsin. Like that sounds odd to say. They won 7 games.
Yes, because they've been
2 straight years they won 7
They've been the
games.
model of 9-10 win seasons.
But Wisconsin has never
seasons.
lacked talent, though.
No.
Now, I bring this up also because this ties into, you got to be recruiting in this conference.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin's got now 6 4-stars in their class of 2025. And Kyle now listening, thank you, because he is a diehard Wisconsin fan. This is the time of year people talk about Nebraska. They will talk about Wisconsin in the fall when football is actually being played. Wisconsin doesn't get clicks.
Okay.
If you had to, 3 years from now, rank who's headed in the right direction, and let's say Kirk Ferentz stays at Iowa, and Fickell stays at Wisconsin, and Rule is still at Nebraska. 3 years from now, power rank me Wisconsin, Iowa, and Nebraska, where they are in the landscape of the Big Ten.
Ooh.
Not, oh, well, they're 5th. Just those 3 teams. Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa, 3 years from now in the landscape of the Big Ten.
Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa.
Okay.
I say that because I think you're getting towards the end of the Kirk Ferentz era. And that, to me, provides some uncertainty. Now, that could turn out to be very, very good as far as what they want to do philosophically offensively.
But doesn't Iowa fall out of bed and every year they win at least 7?
They do.
They just have to figure out a way to win 2 more.
Yep, they've established that floor. One of the great things about Iowa, if you look at, kind of funny talking about Wisconsin being a model of consistency when Nebraska joined the Big Ten and being a 9-10 win, sometimes 11-win team, is that you get to now see Iowa, once they establish that floor, you're right, they can have an abysmal offense like they've had the last 2 years and still find themselves in a conference championship game. Now, we know that's going to be different when it comes to having no divisions, but I wonder if their offense gets better at some point as Kirk Ferentz, as that era comes to an end, but does the defense take a hit? What does that do with Phil Parker? Those I have a lot of questions about that. I think Wisconsin is going to be steady as she goes. I think they've got the right guy at head coach. I think you can continue to expect that defensive side of the football to continue to evolve. The Phil Longo touch on the offense, I think, is still a work in progress. That's why I think this year is very important to see how that takes one step forward. So I think Wisconsin is going to be right there. And then maybe it's more of the local, maybe I'm homering a little bit, but I do believe in what Matt Rule and that coaching staff is doing, the way that they're building that roster and that development. Again, if we're talking about a 3-year time frame that you've now had a full recruiting class go through and another one coming in where you've been able to, if you live up to that reputation of developing and you're recruiting better. So now you're not only developing the project guys, but you're also developing the 3 to 4-star guys. I think that to me points, this is a type of team that can succeed in the new Big Ten.
I just want to bring it up because I was looking at Wisconsin's recruiting and they had a good month of June, but nobody's talking about them. Iowa JD says, I'm an Iowa fan and Phil Steele needs to lay off the shrooms. Lean into it. Phil Steele loves Iowa.
Iowa wins championships, or defense wins championships.
Phil Steele has Iowa in the playoff as the 11 seed. Iowa football in the playoff. He's got 4 teams from the Big Ten in the playoff. And Iowa is one of them. Iowa JD apparently will not be going to Walden Books to pick up a Phil Steele college football magazine. All right, 53 past the hour. We will get into what Joe Castiglione did yesterday because he committed murder. I don't think
it's like Brian Windhorse.
I don't think where he did it, he will be charged because people are like, man, if you're going to murder somebody, that's the guy to murder and you're free. He murdered somebody yesterday. I mean, I know that, and I know that Rule talked about murder. Joe C. didn't talk about it, but did it. And I think in the legalese, there's a difference there. Yeah. If you do it, but you don't talk about it, then there's no accessories.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But that happened yesterday when the SEC rolled into Norman.
It's premeditated, too.
Also, more on the Matt Rule, Joel Klatt conversation, because I think Matt Rule, not in a direct way, crushed a guy on his roster yesterday while praising another guy on his roster. Just my thoughts. Share those with you as we roll till 10 on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
Celebrate July 4th with savings at Lowe's. For a limited time, save on the essentials you need to make your garden pop for summer, like Miracle-Gro 25-quart potting mix. Get 2 bags for just $16. And get up to 40% off, plus save an extra $50 on every $500 you spend on select major appliances. Hurry, these deals won't last long, because Lowe's knows summer savings. Valid through 7/10. Miracle-Gro excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount, excluding supply. See Lowe's.com for more details. While supplies last.
There's a new tomorrow on the other side of the horizon. There are promises to honor, work that needs to be done, friendships to enjoy, and people that count on each other. These are the things that tie our communities together. They always have, and they always will. Build your tomorrow with a bank you can rely on. Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Is your concrete cracked or uneven? Hey everyone, Coach Greg McDermott here to explain why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. Many people think they need to replace broken concrete, but repairing it provides durable protection and comes at a fraction of the cost. EverLevel provides permanent repair solutions to fix your concrete and protect it against future damage, and it all comes with a long-term transferable warranty. They offer free inspections to walk you through the entire process. Call EverLevel Concrete Repair today.
The time between Memorial Day and Labor Day is known as the 100 deadliest days. Students are off for the summer, people are taking vacations, and the days are longer. It's a recipe for good times and long-lasting memories. Sadly, it accounts for 37% of Nebraska's traffic fatalities. Someone's waiting for you at a ball game, a party, or a wedding. Don't let a crash keep you away. Focus on driving. Brought to you by the Nebraska chapter of the National Safety Council and the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Twisted Thunder Fireworks is going to save you big money. You'll find the best variety and the lowest prices in the entire state of Nebraska. Don't believe us? See page after page of products and pricing online at twistedthunder.com, where you can watch everything before you buy and choose local pickup so it's ready to go for you at the tent. Go to twistedthunder.com to check out all of our locations in Nebraska as well as our location in Council Bluffs. That's twistedthunder.com.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Did you know that radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers, and that radon levels in our region are some of the highest in the country? Do you know your radon level? Protect your family by contacting the experts at Radon Defense Midwest. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer to 1620 The Zone listeners. Get 50% off a professional radon test. radonradio.com. What's your level?
It's golf season, and that means it's time to start betting like a pro with the world's largest sports book right at your fingertips. Circa Sports Iowa. It's sports betting the way it should be. The odds makers with the lowest holds and the best odds for every tournament. Plus, high betting limits, exceptional customer service, and more. Fund and bet like a pro anywhere, anytime. It's never been easier. Get ready for all the biggest golf tournaments with Circa Sports Iowa. Visit circasports.com today. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-238-7633.
Despite overwhelming support from Democrats and Republicans, time is running out for Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act, which will keep AM radio in cars. Text AM to 52886 and ask Congress to bring this bill to a vote now. AM radio is too important to let this moment pass us by. Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, Rubik's Cube turns 50 today.
Have you ever solved it?
Yes.
Do you do it a lot?
No.
Okay.
I have not seen a Rubik's Cube in a long time.
I haven't either.
I used to be fascinated with it, could never solve it. 40 years ago, the world record for solving the Rubik's Cube was 22 seconds.
Yeah, no.
Now the world record is 3 seconds, which is insane that somebody could do that in 3 seconds.
In 22 seconds, I don't think I've made my first move because I'm really studying it and looking at it.
Now, I will admit that
Not very smart, though, either, Gary.
When it comes to Rubik's Cube, I solved it. Because you could take apart the pieces and then you could put it back together.
Now, see, that's smart, though.
Yeah. And
that is smart.
And no one would know that you had dislodged the pieces.
Yeah.
And so you put the pieces back together and then you just leave it out somewhere.
I don't even call that invalid. I think that's just a smart way of solving the cube.
I mean, it was, kind of wild that you'd leave, you couldn't walk by a Rubik's Cube without picking it up and trying to solve it.
Well, first you had to pick it up to see if it has already been solved.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pick it up and you're like, okay, somebody left this unfinished. Time for me to flex. And then you're like, this thing is just impossible.
But I think just like a lot of things in life, like it might be easier to solve the Rubik's Cube than to other things. Like maybe in your yard, projects that you have. Huh.
That's true.
But trust me, if you know, kids and adults, if you solve the Rubik's Cube without cheating, you made sure you did a victory lap around the house. Or you made sure that all your buddies knew that you had solved the Rubik's Cube.
Now you can tweet about it or put it on TikTok.
And the one that I solved by dislodging the pieces, I had a friend that walked in and screwed with it and all of a sudden messed it up. I'm like, God dang it.
It's like it didn't happen. It's like if you get a hole in one while you're golfing by yourself, it may have happened, but if no one was there to witness it, no one's going to believe you.
Yeah, so happy birthday. Can you go and buy a Rubik's Cube still today?
Oh, I bet you can, yeah. Sure, Amazon has them too. Where would you go? I mean, do you think like a Target still has them in their
Probably.
toy area?
Probably. When it debuted, or the first time I saw it, I don't remember when it debuted. But when I first saw it, I was fascinated.
I'm actually kind of surprised. Only 50 years. I would have thought that they'd been around longer.
I was fascinated, and then I realized that I have no patience.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
If I couldn't solve it like within a minute, I was like, nah, I'm good. And then I'd watch other people try it, and people would bring it to school. It was like a status symbol. And even more so, again, when you solved it, and you would do the victory lap, and you would tell everybody about it. And then they'd be like, how did you ever do that?
People would, all of a sudden, your reputation would spread. Before you know it, Harvard sending you letters in the mail, wanting you to attend their university because you could solve the Rubik's Cube, or at least that's what we were told.
Did you know the dude in The Big Lebowski was the heir to the Rubik's Cube?
Which dude in Big Lebowski?
The dude.
Oh, the dude.
The dude.
Was the heir to the Rubik's Cube. Is that right? Do I remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Did they say that?
Yes.
At what point?
It's early on.
Well, yeah, because he's unemployed, and yet he always, okay. That little part, and I've seen that movie many times. Why did I not remember the Rubik's Cube?
Well, it's just a reason when you put Rice Krispies on your ice cream this 4th of July to watch The Big Lebowski. You certainly aren't going to be watching the hot dog thing because Joey Chestnut's not there.
What would you have thought would be older, the Rubik's Cube or the Slinky?
The Slinky.
Yeah, Slinky's 1943.
We had a nuclear war, and the only thing that survived was the Slinky and a cockroach, and then we all came on, we were all born.
That's right, right during World War II.
Yeah, the Slinky has a better chance to survive than the dinosaur.
That is true.
You heard it here first.
I don't know; those are facts. But again, this comes down to the commonality between the Rubik's Cube and the Slinky is you got to have patience. I mean, you really got to be in it for the long haul if you want to see that Slinky complete its mission if it's going downstairs, because it doesn't do it at a rapid pace.
All right. Matt Rule may have done something to his roster about a particular player while praising another. That's what I think inadvertently he did yesterday, or maybe I have a terrible read on it. His conversation with Joel Klatt. We'll do that coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time-Saving Traffic Center. Later on in the morning here, but good news, roads looking pretty clear for the most part. No new crashes or any slow-moving traffic that has developed recently. The storm overnight left a little bit of standing water on the roads in the metro, but nothing that is impacting traffic flow right now. As things pick up here pretty soon, I will get those updates to you. Just stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
We are excited to announce the grand opening of Saul's Jewelry and Loan's new downtown location. It's a Saul's shopping experience like you've never seen. Amazing jewelry finds at our famous best in town prices. Tools, bikes, guitars. 22nd and Hardy, downtown Omaha, Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
At Cox Mobile, we know you're smart. You brush your teeth in the shower to save time, make coffee ice cubes for your cold brew, and wear goggles to cut onions. You also added Cox Mobile. So smart. Now you're running on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability and saving on your Cox internet. It's ingenious, just like you.
Aw, thanks.
Cox Mobile, the smart way to mobile. Cox postpaid internet required. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. through H 2023. Other restrictions apply. Learn more at cox.com/mobile.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your radio home for Omaha Storm Chasers baseball. Proud AAA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Royals. Tune in to hear every pitch, every hit, and every out as the Chasers play at Warner Park and across the International League in 2024. With the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Nick Batters, on News Talk 1290 Coil.
The Storm Chasers host the iCubs tonight at Werner Park. First pitch is 7:05. You can hear all the action on your home for the Storm Chasers, 1290 Coil.
Funplex has asked me to give you a first-hand account of the all-new for 2024 Wipeout attraction.
Okay, hit it.
We're starting up. Spinning a little now. Whoa, a lot.
The centrifugal force is starting to stretch my face.
Holy this thing's fast.
Whoa, it's tilting. We have tilting. Woohoo! This is awesome. You got to try this. Get your tickets now at fun-plex.com.
If you're a licensed real estate agent in Nebraska or Iowa looking to take your career to the next level, Modern Real Estate is seeking outgoing, high-energy individuals to join the team. Whether you prefer a salary-based, commission-based, or hybrid compensation structure, they have options to fit your needs. With leads provided, you can focus on what you do best, closing deals and achieving success. Don't miss out on this exciting opportunity to work with a dynamic and innovative company. Email your real estate experience to Tyler@modernrealestateco.com and start building your future with Modern Real Estate today.
US Cellular prepaid. Right now, you can get 2 lines with unlimited data for just $60 a month on our great 5G network. So you can stay connected to the people who matter most. US Cellular. Built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
Presenting Again Fling's love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
When it comes to concrete repair, Everlevel has some serious game. Coach Greg McDermott here to coach you on why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. They've got the fundamentals to fix your cracked and uneven concrete, and their products will give you the best defense against future damage. It's a fraction of the price compared to replacement, and their solutions come with a long-term transferable warranty. Working with Everlevel is a slam dunk. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today for your free inspection.
Email any of our shows anytime into the Equitable Bank inbox. At Equitable, we take banking personally. For me, John at 1620thezone.com. The Equitable Bank inbox from 1620 The Zone.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Halftime brought to you by the Omaha Whiskey Fest 2024, the largest celebration of whiskey in the region.
Whiskey Fest coming up on September 28th at the Hilton Omaha. Make plans now. We will drink whiskey with y'all.
Yes, we will.
Between now and then.
Promise.
Drones or fireworks? What would you rather see?
Fireworks.
Okay. The drone show is becoming really popular.
It just seems like it'd be really expensive. Really, really expensive.
I'm amazed at how impressive the drone show looks. Like at Volleyball Day in Nebraska last year, they did the big drone
that was pretty cool.
show. I was like, dang. But I noticed that there are some communities are foregoing fireworks for a drone show.
Damn. Those communities.
Slackers.
They're old HOA must be racking it up.
Trust me, there will be plenty of people. There are some bougie neighborhood shows that they are now blocking off streets where they don't want outsiders to come in. You ever drive by there at 105th and Pacific? For Happy Hollows fireworks?
I've never tried to
and
go
people
there.
That have lined up like they're tailgating, like across from Trader Joe's.
And then once you break through the barrier, you're greeted by Judge Smails, and he says, some people just don't belong.
Rubik's Cube you can get for $9.29 right now at Walmart.
I was really happy to hear that it's still under $10. I was wondering if that thing had crept over close to $15, $20 maybe. Because you should never have to pay more than $10 for a Rubik's Cube. As fascinating as it is, as much of a mind test as it is, it should always be under $10. So
what was the original price of the Rubik's Cube?
I bet it was $1.50 30 years ago, right? 30? No, I'm sorry, 50 years. 50 years ago, I bet it was $1.50.
Okay, so if you go to eBay, Rubik's Cube original from 1980, still sealed, $428.
Oh, there's a collector's piece. That's not bad.
I'm looking for the price. I do not see the original price on this.
Yeah, it feels like a just under $2 type purchase to me. Not quite under $1. I might be wrong. Maybe it was under $1, but I bet it was just a little bit over $1.
So inflation has hit the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
It used to be cheap, and now it's expensive.
Yeah.
You consider $10 expensive?
No, I consider that the cost of the times we live in now.
Yesterday, Matt Rule and Joe Klatt, their interview that was taped a while back, was released. Rule said a lot of things in there. We discussed in the last hour about this upcoming season. It's a matter of when. What did you take about his comments about his quarterback?
They were spot on when it came to the things that they need to do, because we've had this conversation many a times on this radio program about just having competent, reliable quarterback play. And he brought up being able to complete passes on 3rd and 5, which was something that eluded this quarterback trio last year, even Chuba. And one of those quarterbacks happens to still be on the roster.
So I think that a little bit he forgot about Harburg, who's still on the roster, while praising Dillon. So he said to Klatt, he sees an immediate impact. They will be able to throw the ball better and reduce turnovers. Turnovers was a big discussion about this.
Yes.
That is one of those things that I will believe it when I see it, because it might be a Nebraska thing about turnovers. Now, it can't be minus 17.
Yeah.
There's no way in God's green earth that it can be minus 17 and think that Nebraska football is going to have a productive season.
Rule said he'll be gone if they're minus 17 next year. Said he'll be done.
Well, that might be complicated for Dannon. How's that going to work in the contract? But he also tied it into Nebraska reducing turnovers that allow the offense to be more aggressive because they trust our decision making.
Yep.
He said that Raiola certainly has helped us raise the level of play, and I think he's going to be a guy that all of college football knows. So let's discuss quarterback from last year before we talk about 24, because his comments, I think he wanted to be about Raiola, but they were also about how bad Nebraska was at quarterback, and a little bit of that is on the head man.
Mm-hmm.
So they made a major mistake with Jeff Sims because they were new and they didn't get Nebraska. I imagine if Casey Thompson had not played at a place like Texas before he came to Nebraska, he would be overwhelmed by what that position entails.
Yeah.
Everybody knows your name. Now, Casey was a little bit different. If you had interaction with him, you actually had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. It was very awkward.
Mm-hmm. He's a businessman.
Even nice kid, but sometimes it was really odd to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a businessman playing quarterback in Nebraska.
Yep.
But he was at Texas, so he understood when you're the quarterback at Texas, all the pressure you have and all the attention you get. So coming here, he was fine with it. And he was, playing for a coach that, he knew what it entailed. So now you get Rule. Rule shows up, and he kind of thinks he knows about the pressure of being the head coach at Nebraska. But then there's the other part of being the quarterback at Nebraska. And this is where they failed on multiple levels. Jeff Sims was not ready to be the quarterback at Nebraska because Jeff Sims, with all the being a bakery store problems he had, he also couldn't handle the attention, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the attention was good, man. Well, Amigos,
Big Ten Media Days.
Acres.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Equipment.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's when things turn south, where everybody knows your name and everybody talks about you, and he couldn't handle that. That's where Raiola is different because Raiola has a background, and Raiola has been in the spotlight for a long time as a quarterback in high school, all the top-level quarterbacks. So he gets it, and he leans into it. Jeff Sims, nice guy, great guy. We all wish him well at Arizona State.
Great teammate.
But Jeff Sims being out in public before the season started last year wasn't super comfortable. He wasn't going to ignore you,
No,
but
he's
he
not.
wasn't super comfortable.
Well, and you remember we talked about this a year ago. We hadn't seen him. I think when the first thing that we saw before Big Ten Media Days was that he had that endorsement deal with Akers.
Yeah.
Then we saw him at Big Ten Media Days, and then he was a little bit more visible, obviously, because you got fall camp going on, and then the Amigos thing. But essentially, from spring ball to Big Ten Media Days, you didn't hear anything from him.
Yeah, it's a different position, but the guy that's in that position now is fully embracing it. He's everywhere. Okay. And he has no problem being out in public. He knows what the job entails. That's one of the reasons he came here. Sometimes that can be attractive to recruits of, oh man, I'll go there where they're talking about me. Everybody knows my name. But there's also part of, I think Rule, and I might be reading too much into this. I think Rule feels like he let Nebraska down last year.
I don't think you're off there at all.
Because they have just competent quarterback play. Competent. They go to a bowl game. Year one. They might win 7 games last year. But a misstep prior to the season, and then it snowballed. Position did not yield the opportunity to go to a bowl game. So now you shift to this year, and you got a guy that is a difference maker. You got a guy that has a different vibe. You got a guy that you just said will raise the level of the team, and everybody in college football is going to know who he is. There's a lot of discussion from our previous segment about Wisconsin and, Wisconsin changing their philosophy. I'm going to tell you, 15 didn't come to Lincoln to hand the ball off.
No.
Nebraska's going to throw the ball a lot. They're going to throw it a lot. More than probably you think they will, because they have a guy that they trust can make throws. And they've got guys, Wilson Moore wrote about him today, and Ja'Cory Barney. They got guys that are not there to have the football put into their gut and then read a hole. They're brought to Lincoln to run down the field or run across the field and put up their hands and get hit with a pass. So he kind of was knocking last year and praising the guy that he got that has changed the whole vibe and direction. But he doesn't need to be Superman.
No.
Just needs competent quarterback play. And you can be bare minimum, knowing that if it is bare minimum, you're like, but it won't be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I don't want to say anything over 52% completion percentage is going to feel like Superman, but anything over 60% completion percentage is going to feel a lot closer to that. But that's average.
They just want to, they have a quarterback that when they want to throw the ball, they'll be able to throw the ball.
Yeah. You don't have to all of a sudden get all knock-kneed when you're thinking about a 3rd and 5 and you have to throw even maybe the most basic route that is going to be a higher percentage play that in most occasions, as long as throw and route are executed, is going to yield you a first down. That, okay, that's going to be an option, but who's to say that you don't get to some point with the confidence level of this offense that you can take even bigger shots on a 3rd and 5? Where you can manipulate what the defense is doing, because not only do you have a quarterback that can anticipate, that has the arm strength and accuracy to get the football there, but you have a skill group that is going to be able to provide those types of opportunities too. It's when you think about it, and this was a conversation we had during and even after the season about the overall football IQ of the quarterback. And I remember, and this also goes to some of the frantic moments that were taking place on the sideline with the coaching staff. So where you have to put them part of the conversation there, where you want to eventually have a guy that in the most chaotic moments, whether you're on the road or even at home in a tight game, that the quarterback already understands the way the game flow is going. And if there is some indecision when it comes to what's going to be the best play in that certain situation, that the quarterback knows. And in kind, Matt Rule, Marcus Satterfield, Glenn Thomas all have the confidence and trust of, that's our guy. He knows that you take charge. You have the guy that's going to take charge.
Let's be honest. They want a quarterback. I mean, Marcus Satterfield is not the best offensive coordinator in the country. Not by any means.
Nope.
That's earth-shattering. It's breaking news. I'm sure it'll be out on Twitter shortly. They got a quarterback that can overcome the faults of their OC.
Yep.
They didn't have a quarterback that could work with an OC last year because the OC couldn't get on the level of the quarterback.
Right.
They have a quarterback that is on the level of the OC, and actually with football IQ and what they can do, what that quarterback can do, can overcome an OC.
And that's
rare.
It is rare, especially for an 18-year-old. But I think it is important. You brought it up, and I've talked about this before too. He's not built the same as people stepping into college football in that position as a freshman. It is rare. Now, you see it in certain programs that are typically top 5 programs that have guys that are capable of doing it, whether they have to or not as a true freshman. But people who are, I hate using the word groomed for this moment because it does put it puts a buttload of expectations.
And I also think it's illegal.
Well, that's true too.
I think it'll get you in trouble.
Maybe grooming is not. Right.
Yeah.
But when you have been developed both physically and mentally for the position and have success at that position is one thing. But you bring up what I think is the more key factor in this whole conversation, and that is the attention that has come with that development. That's the attention that has come with being courted by some of the biggest schools in college football and the biggest brands in college football, that you don't shy away from it. Look, there's nothing wrong with guys that shy away from the attention and just on Saturdays, they absolutely go out and kick ass. I mean, you can appreciate those types of guys. But I think there's also something to be said in unique environments like a place like Nebraska where it's a conversation 365 days that you have a guy that's okay with that, a guy that understands when he has a tough Saturday, it's going to be talked about. When he has a good Saturday, it's going to be talked about. But the bottom line is there's going to be that type of attention on you to where it's not overwhelming.
When was this filmed? Because Rule knows what he has, but he has not painted him as Superman.
Yeah. And he never
or as
has.
a savior. But this is the most, like, he has started now to push it to say, because this is a line that it can come back to bite you.
Yep.
I think he's going to be a guy that all of college football knows. Now, they probably geeked out about quarterback play, and that did not make the final cut. But I'm curious on when this was filmed, because it wasn't too long ago. The Rule was asked about quarterbacks, and he tampered down the enthusiasm.
Well, and I think that's part of it.
Do we know when this was? Do you know when this was taped?
I think I know it was in June. I don't know at what point of June though. I wonder if it was like the early part of June. This is another part of Matt Rule, again, getting the fan base. You know that, and I think he understands that we're all pretty wise to what's happening at that position, where you don't necessarily, once you officially name him, if you did that in the offseason, that all the questions are now going to be doubled and tripled about Dylan Raiola. How'd you come to that conclusion? What about him? What about him? What about him? And so it's naturally going to lead into the conversation about Dylan Raiola.
You think that's a question for him? Like, how did you come to that decision?
Well, it shouldn't be a question, but it would be because it's official.
I came to that decision when the ink was dry on a piece of paper in December.
Called a letter of intent.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd ask that question.
No, but that's the part that everybody would get to because it's just because it's official and like you have to.
I don't think you have to. I think that's lazy. I think if that question is asked, I think that's a lazy reporter.
Well, and I think
because you ain't watching football.
Well, and he's even said, Matt Rule has even said, when talking about Dylan Raiola, he's given you every reason why he has put his level and his overall play sort of above and beyond of what's happening. But this is where I go back to where Matt Rule, I think, is doing his players and mainly his freshman quarterback a major service. And that is, he talks about him. He hints at stuff. But then when he gets into the local media, it is tamped down. Because I think he does know that the more Dylan fodder you put out there, the more Dylan content you put out there, the more we're going to take and run with it.
But I don't think he would have said this to a national guy, because this is being shared everywhere today.
Yeah.
If he didn't believe that.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I absolutely.
You got to remember he has put his reputation on the line with a couple of talking points whether to be to Joel Klatt or to other national media post-spring.
Yep. And it was reiterated.
I mean, he'd be called a fraud if some of the stuff doesn't come to fruition.
Right.
Because they go, look at you at Carolina, now at Nebraska. So I don't think he knows the landscape. He's talked about lessons he learned from Carolina. I don't think he's going to make the same lessons of speaking out of turn. So there's a couple of points when he says, I go, okay, he knows something that we don't, but there's the potential. You can see, you can dream or have hope because of physical things that we've seen.
The things that, and I thought he brought this up with Joel Klatt, but has also been very consistent with the offseason conversation, is the turnovers. There's a big part of that interaction, and it's been a big part of just his, if you want to call them state of the program press conferences since spring. That's been a big part of the conversation. The other part has been that quiet confidence where he talks about that blend of having guys that could have gone to the NFL but came back, but also that number that you brought up just the other day. And he talked about that with Joel Klatt, is having the 80 either freshmen or redshirt freshmen. So the blend of the younger guys watching the older guys that are contributing on the field, being able to learn from them and be the next in line with that too. I think he likes the roster balance that they have, even though it's majority younger guys. He's mentioned, says, I think people are going to realize we have a pretty good team. I don't think you're putting that out there or even circling year 2 to year 3 if you don't feel like, unless anything catastrophic takes place, that you're not going to be in a position to win at least 7 games.
I mean, he should essentially say, and he kind of has, and maybe he will when we get deep into talking season in a couple weeks, it's time to start winning. He just says, fellas, it's time to start winning.
And what has he said? We're a 5-win team until proven otherwise.
Time to start winning. But it was, if you haven't seen it, it was a very enlightening conversation. Klatt likes Rule.
Yeah.
I think I can't have Klatt like in Nebraska because he's a Colorado guy, but I think he likes Rule. I think two football guys talking to each other gives some good content. And there was some good content in there, but that is like Rule's setting. Like Rule is talking to football people that ask good football questions. Rule is super comfortable. And when you're done, you go, my God, that guy just turned this little conversation into a recruiting pitch for his football program.
Yep.
That's what we did yesterday. All right, Wilson Moore coming up in 30 minutes as he is back. We're not talking basketball. Well, actually, Juwan Gary and Bryce Williams are meeting the media today.
Oh, yeah, we got a little press opportunity. Yeah, okay. See what they have to say about this new roster. Yes.
Wilson will join us coming up at 9. 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10.
On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. The Connor Happer Show.
Grant Brick's a smile.
Yeah, what do you think's going on?
It's very big.
That looks like a guy who's just happy he ate 21 tacos.
He really does look pleased with himself.
The sunglasses, the giant sombrero, the whole thing. That guy walked over there from his house. I'd like to all-you-can-eat tacos, please. And then he just said, keep them coming.
We're back, baby.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone.
Your Omaha area forecast presented by Funplex Water Park and Rides from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Storms clearing out for your Tuesday morning, but flooding still a concern with so much rain falling during the overnight hours. Through the afternoon, we'll have cloudy skies and another chance of stronger storms through the afternoon hours, and then late evening and overnight storms clearing out again. I'm meteorologist Luke Vickery, KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time-Saving Traffic Center. Crash on eastbound Capehart near 21st Street. This direction has the right lane blocked currently. If you'll be near here, I would recommend staying left, and there may be some temporary delays. No other crashes or heavy buildup of traffic right now. Things expected to pick up in the next hour or so, and I will get those updates to you. Just stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
It's the Lotto America Ticket Snap. Buy a Lotto America with All-Star Bonus ticket and enter online for a chance to win Nebraska football Skybox season tickets and other great football prizes. Lotto America top prize odds, 1 in 26 million.
Brent Rasmussen of Mortgage Specialists. Here's a fact that doesn't seem to get mentioned enough. Owning a home actually helps you build personal wealth. Homeownership is a huge factor in building personal wealth. There are some naysayers who say it's too expensive, but rates will come down, and when they do, the competition is going to be fierce. One financial statistic shows that the net worth of those that own a home is 40 times greater than those that rent. So maybe take a few minutes to call me at Mortgage Specialists to go through the reasons why, even though the current market is different, why it's always a good time to buy a home to build your net worth. I'm Brent Rasmussen. Call me at Mortgage Specialists and we can show you all the details. Mortgage Specialists. Driven, trusted, reliable.
Click mtg-specialists.com. NMLS number 5918, Equal Housing Lender.
The time between Memorial Day and Labor Day is known as the 100 deadliest days. Students are off for the summer, people are taking vacations, and the days are longer. It's a recipe for good times and long-lasting memories. Sadly, it accounts for 37% of Nebraska's traffic fatalities. Someone's waiting for you at a ball game, a party, or a wedding. Don't let a crash keep you away. Focus on driving. Brought to you by the Nebraska chapter of the National Safety Council and the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
At Host Coffee, every cup of coffee served comes with a promise. A promise of quality, innovation, and a dash of fun. Ensuring your workday is as delightful as your coffee break. Call Host Coffee today.
Proudly serving Nebraska since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Twisted Thunder Fireworks is going to save you big money. You'll find the best variety and the lowest prices in the entire state of Nebraska. Don't believe us? See page after page of products and pricing online at twistedthunder.com, where you can watch everything before you buy and choose local pickup so it's ready to go for you at the tent. Go to twistedthunder.com to check out all of our locations in Nebraska as well as our location in Council Bluffs. That's twistedthunder.com.
The wait is over. Dell Technologies Black Friday and July deals are live. Check out incredible savings on select laptops and more, like the XPS 15, powered by Intel Core processors. The XPS 15 brings you the perfect balance of power and portability, plus stellar visuals and immersive sound. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics, plus free shipping on everything. Don't miss out on Black Friday and July savings at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Come see your Storm Chasers take on the Iowa Cubs at Werner Park on July 3rd and stick around for one of the biggest fireworks shows in the Metro, presented by FNBO. Tickets at OmahaStormChasers.com.
Everyone get on your feet, stir up the storm with family.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
So yesterday being July 1st, there were a lot of anniversaries of when you made the move. Creighton, 11 years ago yesterday, made the move to the Big East.
They're talking about the first move you ever made. Summer Nights.
Are we talking?
The move. Whatever you consider to be the move. Maybe you referred to bases. Maybe it was the old yawn and put the arm around when you're a young kid at a movie.
Oh, that was Melanie Dozier.
Yeah, you did it?
Yeah, we were on a field trip, 8th grade. Sixth grade.
What'd she think?
She was very interested in Jason McGee, who was sitting next to her.
She was hoping he did it?
Yeah.
That she saw you like, ah!
You should have said Willie McGee. That would have been kind of a flex.
Yeah,
checks out. Yeah, hey, pretty good.
I just said the move.
I I had an Ophir string for a long time, but it's not for the lack of trying. Like when I was in 5th and 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to make moves.
What
They
did
just-
Michael
they were
Jordan say
not-
about shot percentage?
Yeah.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, and I missed 100% of the shots.
That was Michael Scott quoting
All right.
Wayne Gretzky.
I was just back then. I was just looking for a reciprocal move.
Oh,
You know who I really had a chance with?
I don't.
And her sister is super famous. Her sister was about 8 years younger than her. I didn't really know her sister, but everybody in the basketball world knows her sister.
Caitlin Clark had an older sister.
No.
No.
I once had a little thing with Jenny. Now what's her married name? Barachek, head basketball coach at Oklahoma.
Oh, really?
So her maiden
I
name
know
is
her.
Lillis. I knew her sister Megan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How old were we then?
We were at the end of our St. Pius X run.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So again, some good moves that were applied.
Yeah. But this has nothing to do with what I want to talk about.
Okay.
Because now you're bringing up bad memories.
My bad.
Like Jenny Layden. It's crazy. Are you more likely? Here you go. Poll question.
I just want to hear more about girlfriends punching holes in your wall.
Trust me. Last time I would ever go out with a girl that had a guy's name.
That's why you also don't trust card players. That's their first name is after a city. You're gonna
And
get
you,
hustled.
and you also don't trust guys that have more letters in their last name than their first name.
That's true. That is also true.
Or have two first names.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. They always say so nice.
Are
name
you
twice.
more likely to remember the person that you tried to make a move on? More,
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
more likely to remember that person or the person that you made a move on that it was for one night?
Do you
Probably.
remember losses or wins more? What sticks out?
I
more?
think the failure.
Well, is it one night really a loss?
No, I
No,
remember,
that's a
but
win.
I remember the failure probably more because it was the more embarrassing moment. Because hopefully in your life you've had many more successes in that department that they all just kind of run together.
Yeah.
But it's the failures that stand out because
Missing the
you
2-point
learn from those.
conversion.
You
Well,
use those as fuel.
The fact that I can sit here and name their last name as well, and
That's-
probably that's
yeah.
going to get me in trouble because somebody will be listening. And they'll go, "Hey, I heard you 8th grade. You know, all of a sudden Gary's big paw wrapped around your shoulder there."
I remember the first time I ever, quote, made out. Girl lived down the street. Her name was Cindy.
Spelled with an S.
I remember this.
What was the last name?
Start with an L. Letters. She.
This will be on the radio replay.
I don't even know what she's doing. I don't even see her on Facebook. She said,
Because your wife has scoured her Instagram.
maybe. I mean, I was like 8 or no.
Whoa!
I wasn't 8 or 9. I was probably like
6,
10 or 11.
That seems like a
I
good
just
one.
remember.
Yeah.
She said, "Let's get frisky." I'll never forget that.
She
She
said it?
said, "Let's get frisky."
How many kids does she have right now?
I don't. That's what I want to know.
Okay.
You could have been a father at 10.
Let's get frisky.
But making a move in the college athletic world, which
Kids
some
35 now.
have,
Yes, it's
like
true.
a Sandusky and a Nasser
Oh, good.
and a Mel Tucker.
Oh boy.
I have to.
Not
I
all
just
are created
pointing it
equal.
out. But yes, these moves are not created
Yeah.
like those.
Yeah.
So Creighton's moved to the Big East. No one is clamoring to come back to the Missouri Valley Conference. It has completely changed that school, and it has changed the men's basketball program forever.
And baseball.
For the good. Well, yeah.
Maybe not for the good.
I'm just trying to focus on the good.
Okay. I like that.
Nebraska has already celebrated their 10-year anniversary of joining the Big Ten. We've got Oklahoma, Texas yesterday went into the SEC. We are on the 10-year anniversary of Rutgers and Maryland moving into the Big Ten.
It's been 10 years, huh?
So let's leave Rutgers on the side. But let's talk about Maryland, which was in a conference where they had natural rivalries.
Mm-hmm.
Their football was okay, but their basketball was attractive.
Yep.
Football was a little bit of an eyesore.
Mm-hmm.
So they make the move to the Big Ten. I wonder if Maryland internally and externally being the fan base,
Yeah.
is like Nebraska, where 10 years later, Maryland is going, well, we shored up our finances, but we are invisible in football and basketball other than a couple of fleeting moments, and we have lost our natural rivalries, our closeness, and we got to go play a game in Lincoln, Nebraska. And guess what? We're eventually going to go play a game in Seattle, Washington, and it's going to be a conference game. But then I wonder, as Jim Delaney went all in on TV markets and grabbing that New York City market, Maryland and Rutgers, they have not captured the attention of the major metro areas that they reside near, like New York City, DC, Baltimore. They're afterthoughts in those markets. I don't think that's what the Big Ten had in mind when inviting them, because it wasn't, hey, look what we're getting with Maryland and Rutgers.
Yeah.
They're going to elevate our athletics. They wanted the TV markets, and I don't think they've gotten them.
They got one Big Ten tournament in Brooklyn. Or no, I'm sorry, Madison Square Garden. I thought they should have went to Brooklyn, by the way, if they were going to do that.
But Maryland got a lifeline, and they shored up their finances.
Yep.
But
so would
the
Rutgers.
football has been average at best. Basketball is sometimes good, but it has fallen far off of where they were when they were winning national championships. And some might say they're dragged down by some inferior play in the Big Ten, where in the ACC, with their rivalries with North Carolina and Duke, they were challenged on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Since they joined the Big Ten, football, I'll just go with football. First year, 7 wins. Then it was 7, 3, 6, 4, 5, 3. Now we won't count the 2 and 3 COVID year. 7, 8, 8. So this is we kind of got in. I brought up Maryland last week because I was always curious of the expectation that Maryland fans have, first with their football program in general, but secondly with the move to the Big Ten. And you brought up, and I think it's a fair part of the discussion of, have you underachieved, achieved, or overachieved? If you're Michael Locksley, or I mean, this goes back to DJ Durkin as well, Randy Edsel. So we can use all coaches in this. The program since joining the Big Ten, would you consider it they've achieved back-to-back bowl games now here in the last 3 years. Since the Big Ten, they've gone to 4 total in the 10 years. Would that be an underachievement, an achievement, or overachievement? I still look at it between the under to average type feeling, because the type of program that they were, now they fell off right before joining the Big Ten. I think they had a 7-win season right before joining the Big Ten. But before that, I mean, there were some 2 and 3 win seasons in there too. But I mean, you had a 9-win season in 06 there. The Maryland one to me is so interesting. And I brought up that whole, because this was that time of college football where if you had the right type of outfitter and what that could do for recruiting. And remember, Under Armour was such a big deal at the time that Maryland was essentially
That's what they
the
said
hub
in
spot.
Lubbock until yesterday.
Right? Welcome to Adidas. But I mean, because remember, the Oregon and Nike, they were supposed to be the East Coast version of Oregon, essentially, when it came to having the resources of Under Armour, being right there, being the flagship school. And obviously, we've known that's a flawed thought process when it comes to how you can build a football program. I still look at Maryland, the return on investment. Now, from the Big Ten as a whole, I would agree. I think the return on investment is minimal at best. But I do think for Maryland, because you brought up something that I failed to consider in the Michael Locksley conversation, but maybe this is more of a Maryland conversation in general, where I could say what they've done in the Big Ten is at least average and lately slightly above average because of the division they played in. If they did all that and they played in the West, I'd say average to below average.
Okay, what school am I talking about here? They lost their natural and long-standing rivals. They have less success in football. They went from being a leader in one conference to one of the least regarded in another. Now I'm talking about Maryland, but there are kind of some similarities
with Nebraska.
Yep.
Because when you thought, I thought you were going with Nebraska there, because there was a reason in 2011, the hype that Nebraska was getting. And this wasn't done by us. But if you look at, and again, this is a divisional thing. Nebraska was always winning the North. They were at least playing in conference championship games, not necessarily winning. But they had an identity. They owned that division for the most part. And there was a belief that between a defensive-minded coach, which they play defense in the Big Ten, you have to be able to do that, and being able to have, where I think this was a little bit of an outdated thought of having the, quote, Husker power, which just seems like a total fit in the Big Ten, that they would have a seamless transition. Now, you and I both know there were cracks in that foundation when it came to the overall physicality of the Post and Ndamukong Suh type team, and it wasn't going to be as seamless of a transition. But that national narrative, again, I think a lot of people would look at it and say, boy, that was such a big failure because the way that they were propped up. At least the good thing for Maryland is they were never propped up to that level. They were never propped up to, oh, wow, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, y'all got company now with Maryland. Like Nebraska and I know the divisions were different with the legends and leaders, but when Nebraska came in, it's like, geez, they're going to show them a thing or two. And we knew that, to be probably flawed thinking.
Nebraska established a rivalry, not just football, but other sports with any other school besides Iowa?
I don't think so. I think, in fact, I know people have tried to push the Wisconsin narrative. I think they're closer to Minnesota than with Wisconsin.
Now, take out football. Any other sports?
Any other sport
that is not Iowa?
Obviously, you could say volleyball with Wisconsin.
Okay, that would be at the top.
Yep. Baseball, I just no. I don't look at one team like, oh damn, they're coming to town.
No.
There was a little bit with Michigan for a couple of years, like for that 2-year stretch, just because there were some altercations.
Isn't that weird to say that you're going into year 13 in a league and there really has been no establishment of rivalries outside of the closest team to where you reside.
And now it's going to be even that much more wild when it comes, especially in football. And I know you said just exclude football, but I don't see. Obviously, I think that the volleyball one remains the same. I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon. Baseball, is there going to be just all of a sudden this huge back and forth Nebraska UCLA?
No, I mean, but Iowa's probably
but basketball too.
Yeah, Iowa women's basketball.
Yeah,
Nebraska, and now we've kind of seen Iowa and Nebraska, and I know it's a little bit of they're more likely in that sport to play home and away, but just kind of curious that outside of volleyball and even the Penn State, because Penn State's fallen off a bit,
right?
It's Nebraska, Wisconsin battling at the top. That no other one besides Iowa across the board has stepped up where you've developed a rivalry. Because I hear this when I read stuff from Maryland of, man, they're searching. And oh my God, we might have found it like in soccer against Indiana. But rivalries were big to Maryland, especially in basketball. And they haven't been able to find those rivalries, even with a school they came in with. Like, would it be different if Nebraska would have come in with another school? Maryland came in with Rutgers. So you'd say, hey, that could be a rivalry.
Yeah.
You don't think that pre-established rivalries will get bigger in the Big Ten for Washington, Oregon, UCLA, USC because they're coming in together? Would have been different if Nebraska was not a solo.
I think it could have been dependent on where the school was. And this is where I know we've got to complete.
Kansas?
Right. Okay, so there you go. But from a geographical standpoint, if there is that element to a new team, I think it does have to be geographical. I know everything about the geography of conferences is completely out the window. But from a rivalry standpoint, if you do join a conference together, there has to be that part of it. Because Rutgers and Maryland, obviously, are your easternmost Big Ten schools. So that made sense. But if, say, Nebraska and Rutgers came in at the same time, or Nebraska and Maryland came at the same time, I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh, there's your two rivals right there, too. That's not going to happen. Real quickly.
Because I was, and why I bring this up is because I was listening to Oklahoma last night. And, there's going to be some new teams that Oklahoma's going to play, but they have a familiar team they're coming in with that's a major rival in Texas. So they already have that built in. So they'll always have that across their sports. then they can develop others.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because Nebraska and Iowa weren't rivals because they weren't playing each other when Nebraska joined the Big Ten.
Would you say, because I'm
I mean,
glad
they very rarely played each other in their respective sports.
No, there was the home and home when Crouch was here. God, was there?
They would play a non-con, like maybe in Des Moines, or Iowa would come here for a weekend series, or Nebraska would go to Iowa City, but it was non-con.
Right.
But the other sports,
in fact, I think Iowa played Creighton more in baseball.
Yeah, the other sports, they didn't really play each other.
Yeah.
So at least Oklahoma has a friend. They have a rival across the board when they go into a league instead of searching out new rivalries.
Would you feel confident in saying that the Iowa-Nebraska women's basketball matchup is more of a rivalry than men's? Because I think it is. I don't even know
especially
if Iowa-Nebraska
everybody
men's,
that was involved.
Yeah. I just don't think Iowa-Nebraska men does much other than maybe the day of. I think it's pretty tamped down. Basketball's where it's basketball and baseball as far as men's sports are probably the two sports that it is. I mean, you really have to reach to try to think of any series, whether it's a home and home basketball or a 3-game series in the Big Ten that you're like, yeah, that's the one.
All right. Well, Wilson Moore is going to join us in the next hour. We'll talk some football, among other things. And we'll let Jimmy brag that this might be the golden era of KU, K-State, and Mizzou football. K-State got a huge pickup, in-state pickup yesterday in recruiting.
Wish them the worst.
It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley and KU Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
How powerful is Cox Fiber? Powerful enough to let your band members in Vegas, Phoenix, and Omaha jam like you're all in the same garage. Introducing Cox Fiber from the company with the fastest download speeds 9 years in a row. It's internet built for tomorrow, today. Cox, always building better. Limited availability in select areas. Speeds vary and are not guaranteed. Cox terms and restrictions may apply. Analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence in Las Vegas, Omaha, Phoenix. Fixed media download speeds Q2 2016 to Q1 2024.
They've only given me 30 seconds to talk about all the great things at Funplex, so here goes. Looking for an unforgettable all-in-one day of summer fun? Funplex has you covered. Nebraska's largest water park and rides is even better with the heart-pumping brand new spinning and tilting wipeout ride and special events for the whole family. We're your one-stop destination for non-stop excitement. Plus, there's private cabanas and plenty of spaces to unwind. Hey, you can even make a day of it. From thrilling rides and slides to relaxing sun and fun, there's something for everyone. There's just too much fun to talk about. Get your tickets now at fun-plex.com.
If you're a licensed real estate agent in Nebraska or Iowa looking to take your career to the next level, Modern Real Estate is seeking outgoing, high-energy individuals to join the team. Whether you prefer a salary-based, commission-based, or hybrid compensation structure, they have options to fit your needs. With leads provided, you can focus on what you do best, closing deals and achieving success. Don't miss out on this exciting opportunity to work with a dynamic and innovative company. Email your real estate experience to Tyler@modernrealestateco.com and start building your future with Modern Real Estate today.
Hey folks, it's Karen. Storms just moved through and the damage they've left behind means thousands are looking for the right roofing company. There won't be a better time than right now to replace the roof following the storm damage. Let our inspection teams document the damage for your insurance company and get your new roof covered. Right now, we have people in your neighborhood ready to fix, inspect, or replace your roof and to help you work with your insurance company. Don't settle for a second-rate roof. One call does it all. Visit shamrockroofer.com.
It's going to be another sizzling hot summer. Stay cool with 35% off new Champion windows. Don't burn your money on high energy bills. Get new energy efficient windows from Champion. 35% off. Plus, get an extra $100 off every window you replace. The more you buy, the more you save. We help you choose the best design options for your home. We then build your project in our very own factory. Our install team manages your project every step of the way, and it's all backed by our lifetime guarantee. Plus, we're giving away the chance to win a $50,000 home makeover. Enter online today. Turn your house into your dream home with more livable space in a new Champion sunroom, or enhance your curb appeal with new siding. Now 35% off. Don't wait. This sale won't last long. 35% off windows, sunrooms, and siding. Plus, get an extra $100 off every window you replace. Call 877-GO-CHAMPION or visit championsavenow.com to schedule a free in-home estimate today. While discounts apply to our regular prices, select styles apply. Minimum purchase required. Cannot be combined with other advertised offers. See store or website for details.
Did you know that radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers and that our region has some of the highest levels in the country? Radon Defense Midwest can test and fix your home. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer for 1620 The Zone listeners. That's radonradio.com.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
John writes into the Equibank inbox, wait a minute. Jimmy is going to brag about Missouri football?
No,
Are we
no.
truly at the end of times? Do we need to get right with our maker?
I said,
No,
wish
no,
him the
John.
worst.
F those guys. There. Let's clear
Whoa.
that up right now.
Whoa.
Missouri.
Hey,
I didn't say the other word.
What if we live in a world where K-State and Mizzou are in the college football playoff next year or this upcoming year?
Be rooting for the other team then.
I'll put on my green Big 8 hat.
I do have a shirt.
Has it been it's been rare when all three are in a good spot football, right?
Yes, it has. Yeah.
They all have really good coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They all recruit. They recruit extremely well.
Oh, if they were in the same league, that triangle of a rivalry would, especially with Drinkwitz, because he is the perfect character for that. I'm actually giving him a compliment here.
Well, yeah, because think about when the two, Missouri and Kansas, were at the height of their success was 2007. That's, of course, the infamous final year of Bill Callahan. So you didn't have that working for Nebraska. Nebraska holding down the
Nebraska
mean there.
didn't have that working for them either.
No, they did. That's what I mean. Nebraska holding down the mean there.
Shout out Sam Keller.
Again.
Since apparently
Sam
he's
Keller-
just I forgot about this too. Y'all brought it up.
Sam Keller's getting a lot of run on this station lately. The show in particular.
Well, as we get closer to the release date for the video game, we'll get more.
Do you think Sam would be on the cover? The Nebraska version?
Yeah, him and Ed
Ed
O'Bannon.
O'Bannon.
High-fiving each other.
It's a picture of them in court.
They crawled so you could walk.
KG, this is adding to your story about making out.
The first move?
Making the move and striking out. Always remember that, and then hoping her life turned out miserable. Not like I held a grudge. It was hard stepping up to the plate and striking out as a teenager.
It really was.
I think KG's happily married, got a family.
Yeah. Hey, it's worked out well for you.
I'm with
KG.
Kevin here. Hey.
You wish him nothing but
nothing
but ill will. It's like when you talk about Missouri.
The great Jimmy Johnson, the philosopher and football coach and American hero, once said that I don't hold grudges, but I have a very, very good memory.
Well, KG's right though. It does. I know we've all been there when we were younger. Of okay, it's make the move time. You start overthinking it. I'm a classic overthinker when it comes to that. I really was. And so you're trying to read out the vibe of how the date went, how the interaction went.
Fill out this survey, Scantron.
Do you slide over a note and said, if I were happen to...
Worst thing ever happened to me. 8th grade. Jenny Layden. I've told this story many times. She had, her last name is not Layden anymore, but she has a high position in the state of Iowa government.
Oh, yeah.
I did the whole note thing.
Yeah.
I put it in her desk. Yeah. She shared it with other people.
Oh, man.
It's like the ball going through Durham's legs all over again.
Crushed me.
Was it a straight up yes or no option, or was there a maybe?
No, it was like a nice little, heartfelt note.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought there was.
Crushed me.
Oh, man. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
because she went on the playground and shared it with other people, and so I heard about it.
This was Twitter before Twitter, kids.
Did you ever see Superbad?
Yes.
Remember when he knocks down the pictures that he draws and the girl finds it? I'm glad that didn't happen to you. Could have turned out a lot worse for you, Gary. You always got to think about that. You know, as bad as
Drawing
you might
those?
get crushed, it could go worse. Drawing certain things in Superbad.
Man, I was destroyed.
I can imagine.
That was a bad moment.
And those things don't leave you.
Yeah.
They don't leave you.
No, they don't.
That's why I say it's a lot more memorable during the rejection than it is the successes. It is.
No, totally get that. I'm still bitter that Rod Strickland cost the Spurs a season in 1990. And things worked out for the Spurs.
I'll never forget that Independence Bowl.
Sports grudges are real.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When I was living in Florida, we had a Florida State night at the ballpark because the Florida State Caravan was coming through Southwest Florida, and William Floyd came.
Oh.
I gave him the business.
You say you fumbled?
Yeah. And you know what? He goes, I did.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah.
And he knows that too. That's
No,
probably why he said that.
He's publicly admitted that he fumbled going over the goal line.
Yep.
In the 95 Orange Bowl against the 94 Huskers.
You're
or the
like-
94 Orange Bowl against the 93 team.
We've all seen the Husker man cave where they have the picture of that happening with the official with his back turned to the play, blowing his nose in his yellow flag.
Yeah, that's like when Eric Crouch
It's
almost
iconic.
got decapitated in Manhattan and no
Yeah.
flag was thrown.
You know what the wild thing about that
it's like
decapitation?
the exorcism.
Nebraska almost won that football game.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
That was a bad 98 team, and that was one of the better Bill Snyder teams.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska almost went to Manhattan and won that game.
Yep.
Yeah, they punched him in the mouth right away.
Yep.
Thought they were.
People forget.
Oh, that would have crushed K-State because they had finally arrived.
That's
Best
right.
team, and Nebraska
Karma got
still could have been.
Yeah, people forget. As Flaky Jake just reminded me, Tanner Lee. And I said, people forget Tanner Lee got drafted.
He did.
They've forgotten about him since then.
Yes, they have.
All right, that's okay. Another quarterback will get drafted in 3 years. All right, 9 o'clock. Wilson Moore is coming up next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time-Saving Traffic Center. No new crashes. Might still see some delays near 21st and Capehart Road eastbound from that earlier accident, but should be mostly cleared by now. A little bit of some slower traffic dodge westbound around 108th Avenue, but other than that, traffic flow in the metro looking good this morning, especially after that overnight storm. Just remember to stay safe and wear that seatbelt. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Backlund Plumbing.
Backlund Plumbing, the most referred plumber in town.
So you need a plumber, do you? You should call the most referred plumber in town, Backlund Plumbing.
Backlund Plumbing, the most referred plumber in town.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Savitt for Ted and Wally's Premium Ice Cream. There's something I always tell you about, and it's the butterfat content. You're probably like, what does butterfat have to do with the ice cream? Well, 20% butterfat makes for thick and just luscious and so silky ice cream. It's incredible. It's a really different taste. You know, a lot of people say, well, there's a lot of great ice cream around town. And that's true. There's a lot of great ice cream in town. But if you want a special ice cream, if you want a premier ice cream, if you want ice cream that's been around for more than 35 years and that is prepared the exact same way it's been prepared since it started, you want to go to Ted and Wally's. 2 locations, down in the Old Market and also in Benson, right next to Taste of New Orleans. It is an ultra premium ice cream, more than 3,000 flavors. Whether it's a birthday or you're just going out to have some fun, you stop by Ted and Wally's and you get yourself some wonderful ice cream. Quality products too, local artisans getting product from our area. That's what makes the ice cream so great. 2 locations, whether you go to the Old Market or Benson, tell them Severe sent you.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your radio home for Omaha Storm Chasers baseball, proud AAA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Tune in to hear every pitch, every hit, and every out as the Chasers play at Warner Park and across the International League in 2024. With the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Nick Batters, on News Talk 1290 Coil.
The Storm Chasers host the I-Cubs tonight at Warner Park. First pitch is 7:05. You can hear all the action on your home for the Storm Chasers, 1290 Coil.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
I plan to rearrange my closet, but I stopped after picking the clothes up off the floor.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's award-winning language learning app will help you start speaking another language. Start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
Comment tu t'appelles? Comment tu t'appelles? Vous êtes où?
Vous êtes où?
Babbel's bite-sized lessons make it easy to learn words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks,
"How's your French going?"
you can say,
Babbel est amusant et facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue. Et cela ne prend que 15 minutes par jour.
when you want to really learn another language, it starts with Babbel. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com. Learning a new language. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
How powerful is Cox Fiber? Powerful enough to let your band members in Vegas, Phoenix, and Omaha Jam like you're all in the same garage. Introducing Cox Fiber from the company with the fastest download speeds 9 years in a row. It's internet built for tomorrow, today. Cox, always building better. Limited availability in select areas. Speeds vary and are not guaranteed. Cox terms and restrictions may apply. Analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence in Las Vegas, Omaha, Phoenix. Fixed median download speeds Q2 2016 to Q1 2024.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, last hour on a Tuesday. Good time to catch up with our good friend, Wilson Moore from the Lincoln Journal-Star. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, we're gonna go a lot of different directions, but I want to start here.
Buckle up.
This isn't a bad one, Wilson. You'll be fine. We'll take care of you. I want to ask you about Lincoln Riley. Is that good?
Sure.
So yesterday, I'm watching the SEC Network down in Norman, and they have Joe Castiglione on with the panel, and he absolutely scorches Lincoln Riley. I mean, he burned him more than Lincoln Riley burned his brisket. And said he basically did not want to coach in the SEC, and that's why he ran away from Oklahoma. Oh, by the way, Lincoln Riley is now in the Big Ten. Yeah. So he's got this huge contract, but he had his worst season, Wilson, at 8-5 this past year. He went across town, got UCLA's defensive coordinator. He's got a stacked group of defensive assistants. He's paid attention to that side of the ball. He's got playmakers on his roster. But now he's in a new conference, and in the first 3 weeks, he's going to play LSU and Michigan. What kind of pressure is on Lincoln Riley at USC, who's been really successful when 8-5 is a bad season, but this year he's coming into the Big Ten? What pressure do you think is on Lincoln Riley this year?
I would say probably more pressure than he's had on him in his career. You know, I think last year we saw the honeymoon end last year. He came to UST and they had a really successful 2022 season, came a game short of making the college football playoff. Caleb Williams won the Heisman. Everything was smooth sailing in that first season. And we saw a program go through its first real bump in the road since he was hired there. And we saw a coach go through one of his first real obstacles. He won at Oklahoma. He won his first year at USC. This was the first time things didn't go as planned for Lincoln Riley. So to answer your question, I think that sets up a big season this year. A lot of pressure on him, and yeah, we'll find out a lot in those early weeks with Michigan, LSU, particularly on the schedule.
Yeah, and I've asked a couple of people who not only follow the Nebraska beat, but follow the Big Ten beat as well. We're going to be at Big Ten Media Days here shortly, and they're obviously USC, obviously one of the big stories. All four teams, mainly USC, Oregon, I would say, and a little bit of Washington as part of that story too. But as far as the original of the Big Ten members before the addition of the four, who do you think, is it as simple as Ohio State? Who do you think has the most pressure here in 2024? Is it Ohio State just with the expectations, or say a Michigan who's coming off a national championship with a new coach? Who do you think gets that pivotal 2024? Is it Nebraska?
I would say it's Ohio State. And I know to your point, that's not the most creative answer, but you look at what the season they're going into, the two seasons that they're coming off of. They lost to Michigan for the second year in a row last year, and that's not supposed to happen in the past decade in Columbus. I think Michigan gets a little bit of grace because they're coming in with a new coach, and in our current era of the transfer portal and everything that goes into that caused a little more of a rebuild than usual. Michigan is a different situation because Sharon Moore was already on the staff, but I think Michigan earns a little bit of goodwill from that. But yeah, it's Ohio State. They keep losing to their rivals, and that's not supposed to happen, and that's not acceptable from the perspective of Ohio State.
That game It came out in Los Angeles on November 16th, probably because it's still, it's a long way away and there's a lot of focus on week 2 and then Ohio State. That game could be really, really interesting for both teams. Wilson Moore of the Omaha World Herald joining us. You are doing the countdowns. You're writing the capsules for the countdown of the top 50 Husker football players leading up to opening day. Today was Ja'Cory Barney, which is a fascinating freshman wide receiver to me. We know that the return game where he flashed in the spring game is probably where he's going to see the field first. What do you think his activity looks like in his position that he came to Nebraska to play, Wilson, this year, wide receiver?
I don't think there's any question he has the speed and the athleticism to contribute right away. We saw that in the spring game. We talked to him after the spring game and saw just what a confident young man he is. He was fun to talk to. He was talking about how he's one of the fastest guys on the team, and paraphrasing here, but don't know how many people can beat him in a 40 or whatever. So I think he has the confidence and he has the speed to be an asset right away in some form. The big question, and this goes to every young receiver, is just, the finer things, the technical things. It's a big learning curve going from high school to college at receiver in particular. So I think how much he contributes will come down to that. And yeah, absolutely. The return game is definitely a place he can step in right away. We saw how much Nebraska suffered from its lack of depth at returner last season when Billy Kemp got injured. They didn't really have a whole lot of options they could stick back there and get and help the offense at all. And that was an offense that definitely could have used some help from big returns. So yeah, I think we see Ja'Cory Barney a decent amount this season. In what form remains to be seen.
I'm going to ask you this one, and I'm just going to throw in I'll throw in 4 pass catchers here. I want to get your thoughts on this question when it comes to who benefits more from the other. I'm going to give you 4 with Thomas Fidone, Jamal Banks, Isaiah Nayor, Jalen Lloyd, and then Dylan Raiola. Does Dylan Raiola benefit more from those guys, or will those guys benefit more from Dylan Raiola as far as what they could ultimately accomplish in 24?
Good question. I will say Dylan Raiola benefits from them because it is not easy coming in as a true freshman quarterback, and he'll have some veteran guys to throw it to. Nayor and Banks were pretty established at their last schools. Fidone was finally healthy all last season. We saw what he can do, and I think the expectation is that he'll build off of that. And then Jalen Lloyd is just so intriguing, just what a deep threat he is. He's a guy who, even in a limited playing time last year, we saw how much he can stretch the field and just make things put pressure on the defense. So I think Raiola will have options. I think Nebraska will have more options at receiver and tight end than it did a year ago. And I ultimately think that's big for the development of a young quarterback.
Wilson Moore joining us. I want to shift to basketball because we get to hear from 2 veterans. How would you, and we haven't talked to you since the end of basketball season, we put a wrap on it. There have been a lot of intriguing Fred-type additions that fit pieces. Now, losing Mass, they've had to adjust, but it's not like he got injured and the next day they're playing a game. So they knew this was coming. If you had to come up with a way to describe Nebraska's offseason in going about replacing an Alec, a Tominaga, a Wiltshire, where would you start?
Well, I think Fred Hoiberg and the coaching staff have a good sense of the kind of players they want. And that was a major talking point last season and the offseason going into this year, and I expect it will stay a big talking point. No, this is a team, and this is part of why it has to make so many additions every year that builds through the transfer portal. And it prioritizes experience, it prioritizes maturity. And I think we're seeing that again this year. Andrew Morgan, Raleigh Wooster, guys who have played a lot of basketball. Same with Braxton Mia. He's a fifth-year senior. Connor Sejan has 2 years of experience in the Big Ten. So I think we're seeing Nebraska try to build a team that maybe isn't the same like from a personnel perspective as last year, but has the same level of experience, will be the same amount of poise, and has those kinds of less tangible qualities that help you throughout a Big Ten season.
Speaking of Raleigh Wooster in the position that he plays, also getting the news that Aaron Eulis is eligible for this year, will be a part of this team on game day and game nights. What's your expectation for Aaron Eulis? What do you at least to this day see his role being?
I expect him certainly to get playing time. I expect him to be a kind of true point guard that Nebraska didn't really have last season. Now they have 2 of them with Eulis and Wooster. Last year, they played Jamarcus Lawrence kind of out of position. He had been a 2 guard pretty much his entire life. He began the season as their starting point guard. In like February, they switched to Bryce Williams at the 1, which he played well. I know Fred Hoiberg was very happy with his performance there, but it was still kind of cobbling things together. They had some unusual things to handle pressure, that sort of thing. So I think Eulis's job is to be a true point guard. To be a guy who runs the offense, gets everyone involved, someone who's going to be a steady set of hands with the ball and won't turn it over.
We hear from Juwan Gary and Bryce Williams today. Nice little July 2nd content for you to write about. Year 2 transfer jump for Bryce Williams looks like what?
I think it looks like him continuing to shoot the ball well, as we saw he can do last year. Handle the ball a bit, even with Wooster and Eulis, they'll still look to him to be something of a ball handler. And I think just rounding out his game, I think he's a guy who had to kind of learn how good he can be. And this past season was a big step for it, being a starter for a Big Ten program, one of the better players for a Big Ten program. So I think just improvement across the board, kind of rounding out his game as he tries to be one of the better players in the Big Ten this season.
And he's an interesting one because, Wilson, I think of in certain games, and these are more the notable losses that Nebraska had when it came to Minnesota. And gosh, I'm trying to think forward to, in the Rutgers game on the road, where I know in the in the Minnesota game on the road, he had a good first half. He was non-existent in the second half. And if I remember correctly, similar situation in that Rutgers game on the road, where he had a really good first half. The way that we saw him end the season, to your word about well-rounded, I think that was probably the way that I would describe the way he finished the season. Was there something that maybe Fred alluded to, or just watching Bryce where it came together the way that it did? Was it simply experience? Because there would be moments that he would show up in spots, but then there'd be games or halves where he was a complete non-factor.
Yeah, I think experience certainly had something to do with it. I think he was shooting the ball really confidently at the end of the season. I think specifically Indiana in the Big Ten tournament. I mean, everyone was shooting confidently that game, but he really set the tone. He had 3 or 4 3-pointers in the opening minutes, and then he kept hitting shots against Illinois, against Texas A&M. I think just by the end of the year, he was really confident. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he had to do. And I also think he was one of their most important players last year. You talk about, the Minnesota game. I think that's good encapsulation that he scored, I think maybe 18, something like that in the first half, and then was quiet in the second half. The big lead disappeared because Bryce Williams is one of the X factors for Nebraska. He was all of last year, and he'll continue to be this year.
Fantastic. Wilson, we appreciate the catch-up with you, and we will, I'm sure, see you more over the next month or so. But thanks, as always. Have a great 4th.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
And so Wilson Moore from the Omaha World-Herald joins us on a regular basis during basketball season. Juwan Gary, Bryce Williams going to talk today.
Do you think?
No. Okay. That Lincoln Riley is under pressure?
100%.
$110 million contract. The honeymoon, though, is over. Sorry.
It is. No, and
that's what you weren't going to talk about. Ben.
No, I was going to say the way that Nebraska's summer trip how they benefit from that, not having that this year. Do you expect them to have a little bit more, I don't want to say struggle or challenge of the cohesiveness, but I don't know if that one was always discussed as much on how that truly did benefit a lot of those new faces over the summer when they were playing overseas. It's just such an interesting roster. And maybe it's because
it's a Fred roster.
It is. And I think what has come of the last 2 years of Fred rosters, inclined to say, all right, yeah, let's see how this looks and everything. But I still think one of the big, maybe quiet or less talked about parts of what helped them come together a lot quicker was just having that time overseas together and those guys being extremely familiar with one another, both on and off the court. I don't know. The Lincoln Riley thing, though, I'm glad you mentioned that, because if there's a identity of Lincoln Riley, we would say quarterback first and foremost, right?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Will his undoing, if this doesn't work out with Lincoln Riley, will his undoing be the inability to just be a head coach and not be able to get out of just the light of a quarterback developer? Because I think Alex Grinch at least made sense at the time, but if they can't figure out defense, and that'll get exposed more in the Big Ten than what it even was previously. This, to me, is going to all of a sudden put him into a category of, a Cliff Kingsbury. I want to think that there's more to Lincoln Riley.
I don't think Kingsbury, though, ever really made a decision to overhaul his defensive staff. Now,
that's fair.
It's early in his tenure. This will be year 3 for Lincoln Riley at USC. He has, and I mean, we're talking about a guy the year before, if they win the Pac-12 title game, they're going to the playoff.
Yeah.
So this past year, they go 8-5. And their win total is the same as Nebraska. What world do we live in? You can take that either as a good or a bad from the Nebraska perspective, but Nebraska and USC have the same win total. He has used his get out of jail free card early in his tenure in Los Angeles. And it may be because he's going to the Big Ten.
Yep.
But I don't think Kingsbury ever looked at his other side of the ball and said, I mean, I know what you're getting at from guys that are offensive minded, but Kingsbury never said, okay, let's overhaul the defensive staff. Lincoln Riley has overhauled his defensive staff.
That's fair.
And he has said out loud that he wants USC to become elite defensively. But here's the thing. He can do that, and he went across town and he poached UCLA's defensive coordinator. And they have some dudes over there. There's something that's missing. Maybe the way they're coached. It always strikes me that USC tackles for the turnover. USC doesn't tackle to be tackling. They tackle for the turnover. And I don't know if that was an Alex Grinch thing or what, but it is Ole defense. Thing to keep in mind this season, Caleb Williams is gone. Lincoln Riley has been with Caleb Williams for a while, from Oklahoma to USC. Now he has got a young quarterback that a lot of people like because they think he's, as you were alluding to, following the lineage of quarterbacks under Lincoln Riley. They have a track record where their offense is going to be okay. There should be enough games on that schedule where they can outscore teams. But I don't know. Are they going to beat LSU? Are they going to win in Ann Arbor? Are they going to win in Seattle? Are they going to beat Notre Dame in Los Angeles? This is a really weird transition year for USC, because if they have another 8-win season, that team that's up the coast and in another state is really, really loud.
Yeah.
And Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State not going anywhere. And then there are some others where a school like Nebraska, if Nebraska has proof of concept to sell with a successful season, they're scratching on the door where USC should be.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think he's not pressure to lose his job, but the pressure of who is this Lincoln Riley now at 40? And is USC really a threat? Because USC is not the school that would worry me coming into the Big Ten. It is Oregon.
Yeah.
And I would even say more, if it was Utah coming into the Big Ten, I would be more worried about Utah than I am about USC.
Yeah, far more physical identity, no doubt. The other part about the Lincoln Riley USC marriage right now. And this is where I'm not sure. Maybe this is a good thing that you're coaching in LA as opposed to maybe a more of a hungry college football hotbed. Is that narrative? You mentioned what Joe Castiglione said yesterday, and we've heard it now the last month of ducking SEC competition, not wanting any part of the SEC. I feel like that narrative about is Lincoln Riley soft on the strongest of competition. If you say hit that under, even a 7-win season, if you take a step back this year, I think his maybe reputation is the best way to put it, takes an even bigger hit because of that narrative. Not that, again, and you could lose games that are excusable, but anytime there is a narrative of ducking competition, and by definition of what people feel you should be from a roster standpoint, underachieve, those narratives can be said, but if you win 9 or 10 games, no one's going to say anything. No one's going to care. But if you say max out at 7, that's going to continue to be a story. Lincoln Riley's going to continue to be a bit of a punching bag.
You don't pay a guy $110 million to win 7 football games.
Well, that's true too. He, out of any of the coaches, especially a lot of the high-profile coaches that we've seen going into a season, whether we're talking about Big Ten or any other conference, he's got probably one of the more telling seasons than anybody I can think of. And you're right, the money is a big part of that.
Billy Napier.
Yeah, there's another one.
Mario Cristobal.
Yep. But I think that's – I remember how he was looked at going from Oklahoma to USC. And anything that he went out to recruit, any person, any quarterback, you thought, he's going to have a shot at getting that guy. Because his stock was through the roof. Now this is a big 2024.
Think about November 16th when y'all are going to travel out to Los Angeles. I'll be right there with you at the Coliseum to watch us some USC in Nebraska. Who will feel better about their football program when we reach November 16th? The people in La La Land or the people coming from America's heartland? Little quick schedule here. USC's record after their first 4 games this year will be what? They go to Vegas. They take on LSU. Then they host in the Zero Waste game, Utah State on the Big Ten Network. Then they go to Michigan on CBS. And then they come home for Wisconsin. LSU, Utah State, Michigan, Wisconsin. First 4 games of the season. Jimmy, the USC record will be
2-2.
I'd agree.
$1, Bob.
I'd agree.
So you think they'll win the Zero Waste game against Utah State and the Trojan Family Weekend against Wisconsin?
I think so. Condoms for everybody.
Yeah.
Who do you think?
I agree with that part.
Who do you think USC will bring back for reunion weekend and homecoming when they play Nebraska?
It'd be Matt. For Nebraska?
Yeah, so it's homecoming and reunion weekend.
Todd Marinovich.
John David Booty. Come on. Quarterback their last victory in LA. Actually, no, that's not true because there was a Holiday Bowl game, although that wasn't at the Coliseum. Yeah, John David Booty.
Sean Salisbury.
I know one guy they won't bring back. OJ.
I did think of one, but I wasn't going to go there.
No, it's fine. You can go there.
Well, I wasn't thinking about OJ. I was thinking about other dead Trojans. I'm just kind of going down my list.
So their finishing kick starts with Nebraska on the 16th, then they play UCLA in the Rose Bowl, and then they have Notre Dame on the 30th.
Yep.
Their win total is 7.5 off an 8-5 season.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take the under.
I'm getting close to that one too. I have all the confidence in the world of Oregon. I just don't in USC.
Yeah. So I guess to answer your original question, it'll be the folks from the heartland. They'll be very excited.
That November 16th game, though, I'm curious where Nebraska stands at that moment of the season. Where if you are someone who is thinking even bigger than what we've talked about, that could be, I mean, it is regardless, but that could be a huge game.
Well, I mean, it could be built up to be a big game. Because both teams have a week off before that game. Both teams bye week. Nebraska's second bye week is November 9th.
Mm-hmm. That one, I think it's probably even a better question, like you asked, of where will these two teams be in that part of the season, and a win against one another, what will that ultimately do for them?
Winner wins 8 games, loser finishes 7 and
I mean,
5.
think about it. How cool would that be if that game is meaningful to both teams?
It'd be amazing. It'd be great for college football too.
Night game on NBC.
4:30 kickoff out there. Avoid the traffic on a Saturday.
Sunset about 4:50.
Do 8 o'clock game in November? 10
Well,
o'clock game?
out there?
Yeah, you don't want a 10 o'clock game.
10 o'clock game here?
No.
All right, he's
No?
volunteering for overreaction.
I mean, at 4:30.
We gotta do
At
that.
4:30. I mean, we're November 16th, so the
That's true.
sun will be down.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true. It'll be a night game for us.
And then
Yeah, it's true. It will. Yeah.
he'll be included as well.
You get to see that gorgeous LA sunset. Oh, nothing like it. We always see it at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, the Coliseum's a little bit different. You see downtown LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll still show some. They'll show some B-roll from the Rose Bowl anyway.
Will they?
No, probably not.
Is that where the riots were?
Jesus.
You know somebody's going to ask that there. At the Rose Bowl, you don't ask that.
Hold on.
Once you get into the confines of the Rose Bowl, it's all now.
Hold on. Do we need a
We don't
history lesson
acknowledge
here?
that.
No, I know where they were, but you know somebody in the stands is going to ask that.
That was 32 years ago.
God, was it that long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Because I was just a bright-eyed preteen.
I was like, what about the Jazz Clippers series and the Blazers Lakers series? Are they going to delay this? How could this impact the NBA Finals? That's what I care about.
That is exactly what 11-year-old Jimmy
So-
or 10-year-old Jimmy would be thinking.
For everybody that was
I'm not shocked by this.
excited to go back to the Coliseum and see the revamped Coliseum, Jimmy has reminded you that South Central LA back in 1992 is not the place to go. And, I mean, there's probably some lingering things from the LA riots 32 years later that you want to avoid. Probably better to stay home. I don't think you're doing their Convention and Visitors Bureau any favors.
We can talk. How much do they pay? I can change my tune quickly.
I just love the fact that you're curious about a couple of LA basketball series at the age of 10.
I was, yeah. It
Dad,
was. Those were good
is
series.
this going to interrupt the game?
At LA Sports Arena. Why are the Clippers still playing there, Dad? And
Why are they moving this to Anaheim?
And why did Daryl Gates resign as police chief?
I remember saying that in 3rd grade. Teacher was like,
I almost got concussed.
who?
What if this would have happened during the 84 Olympics, Dad?
What would they have done?
Would they postpone things?
Would they move it to San Diego?
What's the stopwatch they got on the guy that just looted the food?
Did he not go through a qualifier? It's protocol.
They've cleaned up the
Yes.
area around USC.
They built the Staples Center.
Yes, it's a very nice campus to walk around.
Mm. Mhm.
Now, no, the Staples Center is downtown.
It's close enough.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It'll be a tour guide.
No, you can see it from the stadium.
Well, if you're on
It's
the
a
hills,
ways,
you
yeah.
can see just about everything, right?
There are no hills at
Hollywood Hill. The Hollywood Hill.
Hollywood is nowhere near USC.
I know.
Yeah, there are no hills.
Come on. LA's just
You
like
Nebraskans need to get out more.
It's like a small town.
You need to go to Southern California.
just like
I
a
think the
small
zone needs to
town.
caravan out to LA
Hey.
so that we can dispel these
I
theories.
know everything there is to know about LA. I watched every season of Entourage.
You're like, man, we're staying in downtown LA. I bet we can get to Disneyland. Oh, the map says here like 15 minutes.
Why is everything red on the phone?
It might
Yeah.
be 15 minutes before you even get on the freeway.
Yeah.
All right.
I watched Entourage. I know the hot spots. I know the proximity.
Right. I've watched Hunter,
We know stuff.
LA Law.
All right. You guys go home today and watch Do the Right Thing.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. You get a lot of junk in your inbox. This one, not junk. Not junk at all. 1620 The Email. Exclusive content, contests, other stuff probably. Subscribe today at 1620thezone.com. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Funplex Water Park and Rides from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Storms clearing out for your Tuesday morning, but flooding still a concern with so much rain falling during the overnight hours. Through the afternoon, we'll have cloudy skies and another chance of stronger storms through the afternoon hours, and then late evening and overnight storms clearing out again. I'm meteorologist Luke Vickery, KETV Newswatch 7.
At Athletico Physical Therapy, our favorite patients are the impatient ones, the ones who don't want to wait 3 months to see a specialist or wait until that little pain becomes a big one, the ones who know that Athletico's therapist can help them take the recovery into their own hands. Our favorite patients are the ones who just can't and won't wait because they don't have to. So get a little impatient and start with physical therapy at Athletico. With no prescription needed in most states to get started, you'll be right back at it in no time. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com.
The light is fading. Your hands are sore. Feel the satisfaction that comes with a job well done. But when you get your tools from Harbor Freight, something about the job feels a little different. Your wallet. Because we believe that everyone deserves hardworking tools at hardworking prices. And that's what we have here. So, whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Hello there, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Hey, planning a trip to a state park, one of Nebraska's 76 state parklands? Excellent. But don't forget your state park permit, money for camping fees and other activities, a fishing permit if you want to wet a line, and oh yeah, a 6-foot leash for Scruffy, your pet. Thank you, and we'll see you out there. I'm Greg Wagner with Nebraska Game and Parks.
Presenting a Gain Flings love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
If you're a licensed real estate agent in Nebraska or Iowa looking to take your career to the next level, Modern Real Estate is seeking outgoing, high-energy individuals to join the team. Whether you prefer a salary-based, commission-based, or hybrid compensation structure, they have options to fit your needs. With leads provided, you can focus on what you do best, closing deals and achieving success. Don't miss out on this exciting opportunity to work with a dynamic and innovative company. Email your real estate experience to tyler@modernrealestateco.com and start building your future with Modern Real Estate today.
The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. The Circa Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-238-7633.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Into the Equitable Bank inbox from Great Man TC. I'm sure Reginald Denny is somewhere singing "Thanks for the Memories." I could play that as well. Way to go, Jimmy. My ex-wife is a USC grad. LOL. Thanks for that painful memory. Aha. The running joke was, what can you do at USC on a clear day? UCLA. UCLA.
Does
Go
this song
Lakers.
take anybody back to
The Great Western Forum
or Naked Gun?
Well, true.
Yeah. Or if
From
you
the
had,
South
yeah,
to the from the west side to the east side.
Very happy because the sun is shining all the time. Looks like another perfect day. I love LA. We love.
Now that I've given both of you boys a history lesson of Southern California, great. Well, when they play this at,
you see it.
I see him vacuuming in the home. Frisking down the players.
Randy Newman's had a hell of a career.
Yeah, he has. You always know a Randy Newman song.
Well, and then He is. And Mr. Finn. Well,
Toy Story. Yeah.
Yes,
You got
like Toy Story is
you
what
got
elevated.
a friend in me.
So I love L.A. I like that song because if you go to a Dodger game or a Laker game, after they win, they play it
forever.
But then he had Short People.
Yep.
The Short People song.
Wait, did you use that for midget wrestling when you were working in baseball?
No, but you ever contemplate how long short people live?
How long short people live?
I
5 years
actually
younger. 5 years younger than tall people.
I feel like that's a really bad dad joke.
It's kind of the opposite of dogs.
All right. So with all this said, we'll be going to the USC game on November 16th.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Los Angeles, California.
Maybe we'll have like a.
There will be a. So it's right. It's right. It's right
awful.
before Christmas.
Yep.
Or no.
Thanksgiving. I mean, technically, it is before Christmas. Not right before Christmas.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
Yeah.
It's before
I mean,
Christmas.
You're not wrong.
But they put this holiday called Thanksgiving a little bit earlier.
And you're right. It's Thanksgiving does not get its due propers because everybody's immediately thinking about Christmas.
Now, here's the thing. There were a lot of Nebraska fans that went out to the Coliseum the last time they played out there that were livid because Callahan screwed the pooch in that game. He was like, "We're just getting in, getting out." Okay, and it was an abomination to watch.
Just don't look embarrassing. Just try to be competitive. And there were many. Remember, USC was not playing good. They were crapping the bed all over, and Nebraska refused to take advantage of that. Yes.
It was. I know a certain coach that went out there and was all ready to have a great time, and he was the way that Nebraska handled that game. Just get in and out, run the football. We don't want anything to do. We don't get anybody injured. But same guy is that I will be out there. I bet there will be 20,000 Husker fans. That was in 06. So I just want to. Okay, so Sam says that stadium is a crap hole. The campus is on the edge of Watts. I was there in 12 years. You can have it. Doesn't brother, Southern California, share the same love for Sam. Now
he's not near Watts.
Recently, they have. So the stadium, they had to do some things with the stadium. Like once the Rams got their own place and moved out of there. And
but the Rams did put money into it.
And then you also have the Olympics that are coming.
Right.
And so there'll be a lot of the Olympic events will be right there in the Coliseum and then right around campus from basketball to swimming and all that kind of stuff. They have improved the area.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not advocating like going for a walk and getting lost. Next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, this is where Darryl Strawberry went to high school.
Well, you should take that tour.
But I would, I think 15 to 20,000 people will go out there. And there's already an abundance of Nebraska fans on the West Coast, and that game's going to mean something.
Yep.
I'm put it on the board. November 16th, the Nebraska USC game will have significance.
Well, I mean, what are your other travel options in the 2024 season other than Columbus, which I feel most people have been to?
And I think you don't want to go to Columbus because you just dread what could happen because you've been there before and Nebraska got there kicked.
Yeah, like
ironically, the only coach that's really gone into Columbus and has kept it competitive
was Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the 2018 game. That game on November 16th. So we were talking about 50-50 games for Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready to say that's a 50-50 game yet.
Oh, so you got still in the USC column?
Yeah. But talk to me after the first month.
Whoa.
Talk to me after the first month because you just laid out USC's schedule, and that's going to show you a thing or two, especially even though it's a home game against Wisconsin. Hey, another team we were talking about earlier today. And where Nebraska fares, because with what Nebraska has in their first four, mainly that big-time night game against Colorado, you get into it, so you get into October with Rutgers. 50-50 game, but a game that I think is going to be very competitive. And where USC is at that point, If Nebraska comes out of that thing with wins over Purdue and Rutgers and took care of business against Colorado, I would say 50-50, maybe even more so, unless USC has run the table, which I don't see them doing in that first month. I would say Nebraska goes, you start looking at that game, looking ahead of that game, thinking, could they be favored?
Television networks would love for that game to mean something.
Mm-hmm. I know these are a lot of what-if scenarios, but yeah.
But it's July 2nd. Wait till people hear us on Friday and we play the biggest what-if games of all time.
That's a tease.
I've already got 2 solid ones, one involving Nebraska football and one involving...
I gave you this assignment like 3 weeks ago.
I know, but I'm working on the other 2.
You mean you don't procrastinate?
I've got Major League Baseball, big Major League Baseball one, and a big Nebraska football one.
I'll give you one that I will not use, but this is good for conversation between now and Friday when we do this. And then we'll go to break. You guys can think on it.
Okay.
And you two can, because people now on the stream are like, I want more of Randy, sing Randy Newman songs on the show. In this day of realignment, and I wonder if Florida State will do something. Remember, we hear about realignment at media days.
Mm-hmm.
We heard about Nebraska realignment at media days.
Yep.
We heard about Texas, Oklahoma chatter at media days.
Right after the 4th of July.
The ACC media days are coming up. Will all of the chatter become reality? But with that said, what if the Longhorn Network never existed?
It's a great question.
I like this.
Would the Big 12 be together still? Or would the Pac-16 exist?
Yep, remember that?
So we may have that in the hopper on Friday. But what if the Longhorn Network never existed? And this many years later, what the landscape of college athletics would look like? Because you could make a case that the Big 12 would have stayed together, but you could also make the case of, man, remember when that Pac-16?
Yep.
But also remember this.
Larry Scott was king.
And then Larry Scott at the 11th hour was like, I laugh because when that was being discussed and Oklahoma and Texas were involved, remember how one of the talking points was, oh my God, look at the travel or the geography.
Yep. Yeah.
Remember,
what are we doing?
That was like a really intense discussion about why it wouldn't work.
Yep. Can't do that. Can't have Oklahoma going out to L.A.
That Stanford at Florida State game is going to be fantastic this year, and it's going to be a conference game.
Yep.
All right, all y'all short people out there, we're back with more of Mornings with Sharp and Handley after this.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
Watching a ball game at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is pretty awesome. Oscar's offers the MLB package, so your team is always on their upgraded audio-video system, and nothing is better than watching the game with a cold frosty one, Oscar's Pizza, or award-winning char-buffed wings. And with daily lunch and dinner specials, it's really a no-brainer. So get ready to watch your favorite team play ball at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and takeout at 162nd and Maple.
It's going to be another sizzling hot summer. Stay cool with 35% off new Champion windows. Don't burn your money on high energy bills. Get new energy efficient windows from Champion. 35% off. Plus, get an extra $100 off every window you replace. The more you buy, the more you save. We help you choose the best design options for your home. We then build your project in our very own factory. Our install team manages your project every step of the way, and it's all backed by our lifetime guarantee. Plus, we're giving away the chance to win a $50,000 home makeover. Enter online today. Turn your house into your dream home with more livable space in a new Champion. Off. Don't wait. This sale won't last long. 35% off windows, sunrooms, and siding. Plus, get an extra $100 off every window you replace. Call 877-GO-CHAMPION or visit championsavenow.com to schedule a free in-home estimate today. All discounts apply to our regular prices. Select styles apply. Minimum purchase required. Cannot be combined with other advertised offers. See store or website for details.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards that zero-turn lawnmower you've always wanted. And after using its edge-shaping technology to meticulously sculpt the face of the Mona Lisa into your grass, you'll become the undisputed king of Saturday morning lawn care, leaving your neighbor and sworn enemy Gary to question his place in the delicate neighborhood ecosystem. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Hi, welcome to Staples. Hi, my son's teacher emailed his back-to-school list. He needs crayons and a comp book for every subject.
Okay, no problem. With Staples Hot Deals, you'll find super low prices on hundreds of items for back to school.
Oh, now they're saying he needs folders and glue.
You got it.
And markers?
Of course.
Oh, geez.
Can we get a card, please?
Save big on back to school with Staples Hot Deals. Right now, 24-pack Crayola crayons and comp books are only 50 cents each at Staples. Ends 8/24, in-store only, limit 30.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
How does Host Coffee provide the best coffee for your workplace? By finding the richest and most robust coffee beans from all around the world and bringing them to our Nebraska roastery, where your coffee is roasted fresh and delivered straight to you.
Proudly serving Nebraska since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Yeah, so this would have been the Pac-16, the original teams that were in the Pac-10: Oregon, Cal, UCLA, SC, Stanford, Arizona State, Arizona, Oregon State, Washington State, Washington. But then they were going to add Arizona, or they were going to add Texas Tech, Colorado, Texas A&M, Oklahoma State, OU, and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the 11th hour, it fell apart.
Yep.
And then Texas A&M didn't want to come with Texas. It got, it got sideways. But that was going to be the Pac-16.
Yeah. Well, the Pac-16 had juice. The Pac-12 had juice.
They had a logo and everything.
Yep.
That would have been a hell of a conference.
And you're right. It's funny how we forget about
like Oregon State and Washington State, if they were wishing that had happened.
Oh yeah, the geography part of the conversation, which was just such a big thing. Like, how could you ever really do that, though? From a geographical standpoint, that makes zero sense. And as we've now learned, that actually doesn't play any type of role into the decisions. I think the Big 12 stands on pretty solid ground if the Longhorn Network did not exist, because it became a trickle-down effect between Missouri, Colorado, Nebraska, Texas A&M. And you started to lose a lot of those between the Texas-Oklahoma rivalries. Was the big one, but the Texas A&M. There was a lot of that I think probably is avoided if the Longhorn Network does not exist. I mean, we can firmly say from the Nebraska standpoint, because that was the one where it was like, okay, this is now the Big 12 brought to you by the University of the Texas Longhorns. And so if that does not exist, I think the Big 12 is not only still together, probably has expanded, but I think you still have Nebraska in there. Hell, I think you probably still have Oklahoma. I think it's a good enough conference to where it's that TV deal that the Big 12 would have now would be very comparable to what the Big 10 has.
I'll ask you this question because especially since you were around so much of it, what if Texas and Nebraska had been more in cahoots throughout the entirety of the Big 12 instead of seeming to be against each other and been more of a unified front? Like, we respect you. Yeah, we respect you. Let's, what can we do to help our own causes?
Handshake, maybe.
Could that have made any difference? I mean, as obviously they were always at odds against each other.
Let's say the Big 12 would have stayed together. Who would you have added?
Another good question.
Oh,
what year are we doing this? 12?
Yeah, when it fell apart.
Okay.
Like, let's say at the tail end, it's still in a good spot, but you got to add some teams. Who would you have added to the old Big 12?
See, I
would West Virginia and Louisville been?
Houston wasn't in a good spot. Yeah. SMU wasn't in a good spot. I mean, they would be naturals because of Texas. But like around here, Iowa wasn't. Iowa would never leave the Big 10.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is
there was really no one to grab because they were already.
Yeah,
if they weren't in the Big 10, they were in the Big 12.
Yep. That would probably be.
I mean, Utah.
Yes.
Utah.
They were hot.
Utah. BYU.
BYU. Yep. I would think BYU would be in there. Man.
West Virginia, Louisville. Virginia just had the success with Geno.
As much as some people have like sworn off of college athletics because of college realignment, they think they've ruined everything. From the Texas standpoint, and screw them because they screwed a lot of people.
Yes.
They actually have found themselves where they truly belong.
Yep.
In the SEC.
Mm-hmm. Everything about Texas is SEC. From their image, their fan base, their expectations, whether they're realistic or unrealistic, and the type of money that they want to be a part of when it comes to their product. So yeah, I mean it is. But man, the Big 12 expansion, what it would have looked like. Yeah, you're probably going out west because that was the one thing about the Big 10 is you think, could you poach from the Big 10? But they've always been in lockstep.
Or could you have stayed 12 and been successful? Because you had Texas, you had Nebraska, you had Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Then you're about to get Johnny Manziel with A&M.
I think at some point you're probably having to add two.
People forget about Texas A&M, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah, because we're not supposed to talk about him.
But remember how Missouri was before they left. Missouri had it going too.
Utah, for sure. Utah had to be in there.
Yeah,
because Kyle had that thing going then, and
I think Utah.
They beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl.
I think Utah and BYU would have been solid additions given where they were with their.
I mean, this is such a great what if because then you would go into the what if the commissioner of the Big 12 was stronger. What if the commissioner of the Pac-10 was stronger?
What if Steve Hatchell had been named, or no, he was named. What if Bob Frederick had been named commissioner of the original Big 12 instead of Steve Hatchell?
I mean, you look at Mike Slive was running the SEC. Jim Delaney was running the Big 10. They were playing chess while everybody else was playing checkers.
Yep. Yeah, and that was the thing even before Nebraska joined the Big 10 is Jim Delaney and some of the ideas that he had. And I remember hearing about the Big 10 network thinking, again, and being a jaded Nebraska fan thinking, oh, this is just another Longhorn type network. It's not going to work. Oh, my God.
We'll do a little of this coming up on Friday. All right. Crossover is coming up next. For Jimmy, for Nick, I'm Gary. We're back in tomorrow at 6.